Picture in your mind a quiet lake. The water is perfectly still, a dark mirror reflecting a sky full of stars, and the soft, gentle light of a full moon. There is no wind, only a profound silence that feels ancient and deep. Now, imagine a single thought, a worry from your day, as a tiny pebble dropped into this water. See the ripples spread out, disturbing the perfect reflection, moving from the center outwards until they touch the distant shore. Another thought, another pebble, another memory, another ripple. Soon, the entire surface of the lake is in constant, gentle motion, the clear reflection of the stars now a shimmering, fractured dance of light. This is your mind, as you lay here, ready for rest. It is not wrong, it is not broken. It is simply doing what it knows, responding to the pebbles of a life fully lived. We spend so much of our waking day in a state of effort, as if we are trying to swim up a powerful river. We push against the current of our responsibilities, our deadlines, our relationships, our own expectations. We fight to move forward, to stay afloat, to control our direction, and it is utterly exhausting. And when the day is done, we bring that same energy into our rest. We lie in the quiet darkness, yet our mind is still fighting the river. Our body is still braced for the struggle, and sleep becomes just another distant shore we are desperately trying to reach. We try to force the mind to be quiet. We try to make the body relax, another form of swimming against the current. But what if there was another way? What if the secret was not to swim harder, but to simply let go? To stop fighting the river, and to trust that its current could carry you? What if you could allow yourself to float, to turn onto your back and gaze at the stars, feeling the gentle, steady support of the water beneath you? This is the invitation of this journey tonight. It is a path guided by an ancient wisdom, a wisdom that doesn't ask you to become someone new, but to simply remember the peace that is already within you. It is the art of letting go, the art of allowing. There is nothing for you to do right now, nothing to fix, nothing to achieve. Your only task is to listen and to give yourself permission to drift. Let us begin this journey together, floating gently down the river, back to the calm and quiet waters of your own inner lake. As we continue to float gently down this river of sound and stillness, let us turn our awareness inward, to the space behind our eyes, to the inner world of our mind. For many of us, this inner world is not a quiet sanctuary. It is a bustling marketplace, full of noise and echoes and voices all speaking at once. One voice pulls you back into yesterday, replaying a conversation, dissecting a mistake, bathing in the warm glow of a happy memory, or shivering in the cold shadow of a regret. Another voice slingshots you into tomorrow, making lists, rehearsing worries, planning escapes, and building castles of anxiety about things that have not happened and may never happen. This constant, restless movement of the mind has a name in ancient traditions. It is called the monkey mind, for it behaves just like a restless monkey, swinging frantically from one branch to another, never staying still, grabbing for this fruit, then chattering at that shadow, always in motion, always agitated. And it seems that the moment we decide to rest, the moment our body grows still, and the world outside grows quiet, this inner monkey begins to screech and swing with even more frantic energy. It is as if our stillness gives it the perfect stage to perform its chaotic acrobatics. We lie here, wanting peace, and instead, we are met with this relentless inner noise, these echoes of our life. The first and most gentle truth we must understand is that this is not a personal failure. There is nothing wrong with you because your mind is busy. The mind is a magnificent tool, a survival machine honed over millions of years. Its job is to think, to solve problems, to scan the past for lessons and the future for dangers. It does this all day long, and it is very, very good at its job. It does not have an off switch. So when the external problems of the day fade away, it simply turns its problem-solving energy inward. It analyzes you. It analyzes your life. It tries to solve the puzzle of your own happiness. It does this because, in its own way, it is trying to protect you. It is a loyal guard dog that barks at every sound, unable to tell the difference between a real threat and the rustling of leaves in the wind. So, the first step is to soften towards this process, to let go of the idea that you should have a silent mind. That is not the goal. Trying to force your mind to be silent is like trying to flatten the waves of the ocean. It is an exhausting and impossible task. The more you fight the waves, the more you churn the water. The more you fight your thoughts, the more you energize them. Let us try a different approach, a gentler way. Imagine that you are not the thoughts, but the vast open sky. Your mind is the sky itself, limitless, spacious, and fundamentally peaceful. It has been there your entire life, a silent witness to everything. Now, see your thoughts as clouds. Some are light, fluffy white clouds of pleasant daydreams and happy memories. They drift by gently, casting soft shadows. Others are dark, heavy storm clouds of anger, fear, or sadness. They rumble with thunder and flash with lightning. Some clouds are thin and wispy, barely there at all, while others are thick and dense, seeming to cover the entire sky. But notice this, no matter what kind of cloud appears, no matter how big or how stormy, it never, ever harms the sky. The sky is not damaged by the storm. It is not stained by the darkest cloud. The sky simply allows the clouds to be there. It holds them with a vast, patient, unconditional acceptance. The clouds come, they stay for a while, and then, inevitably, they drift away, revealing the clear, blue, peaceful sky that was there all along. You are the sky. Your thoughts are just the clouds. When a worried thought appears, you can say to yourself, "Ah, a worry cloud is passing through." When a sad memory arises, "I see a sadness cloud." You don't have to believe the cloud. You don't have to become the cloud, and you certainly don't have to fight the cloud or try to push it away. Your only job as the sky is to notice it, to allow it to be there, and to trust that it too will pass. This is a profound shift in perspective. You are moving from being lost inside the storm to becoming the vast, unshakable space in which the storm is happening. There is a deep peace in this. It is the peace of non-resistance. It is the freedom of realizing your true nature is not the fleeting weather of your mind, but the boundless silent sky that holds it all. Feel that now. Feel the spaciousness that is you. Even with 1,000 thoughts moving through, there is a part of you, a deep, silent awareness that is simply watching, untouched, unharmed, and perfectly at peace. There is a beautiful old story that illustrates this. A young, earnest student went to his meditation master, full of frustration. He said, "Master, I try to meditate, I try to find stillness, but my mind is impossible. It is like a wild, raging buffalo. The more I try to control it, the more it thrashes and pulls, destroying any peace I might find. What can I do?" The master smiled with great compassion and said, "Do not try to kill the buffalo. Its energy is your life force. And do not try to chain it so tightly that it chokes. You will only make it more violent. Instead, do this. First, give the buffalo a very large green pasture. This pasture is acceptance. Allow your mind the space to roam. Do not condemn it for its wildness. Then, find a single, very strong post and plant it firmly in the middle of the pasture. This post is your breath. It is your anchor in the present moment. Finally, take a long loose rope and gently tie the buffalo to the post. This rope is your gentle, non-judgmental attention." The master continued, "At first, the buffalo will still rage. It will run to the end of the rope, again and again, pulling and straining. Do not pull back. Simply keep your attention on the post. Let the rope be loose. Let the buffalo run. Over time, the buffalo will learn the limits of its pasture. It will discover that the area around the post is safe and peaceful. It will tire of its own struggle. Gradually, it will come to lie down near the post, content and calm. It will still be a powerful buffalo, but its energy will now be tamed, peaceful, and you will have found a great friend and ally within yourself. This story is for you, right now. Your mind is that powerful buffalo, full of energy. Do not fight it. Give it the pasture of your acceptance. You do not need to like your thoughts, but you can allow them to be there. And you have a strong post, an anchor that is always available to you. We will explore this anchor more deeply, but for now, simply know that it is there. The practice is not to have no thoughts, but to gently, loosely tie your attention to something simple, something real, something happening right now. And each time you notice the buffalo has run to the edge of the pasture, Each time you notice you are lost in a storm of thought, you do not scold yourself. You simply notice, and with infinite kindness, you gently guide your awareness back towards the post. This is the entire practice. It is a practice of returning again and again, with a soft and forgiving heart. For now, just rest in this understanding. You are the sky, not the clouds. You are the farmer, not the wild buffalo. And within you, there exists a profound capacity for peace, a quiet space that is untouched by all the noise. Let us move towards that space now, by finding that strong, sturdy post that the Master spoke of, the safe harbor in the storm of thought. That post, that anchor, is always with us. It is our breath. We spoke of the wild energy of the mind, and the need for a strong post to anchor it, a safe harbor to return to. That post, that anchor, is not something you need to find or create. You have carried it with you every moment of your life, from the very first cry you took at birth to the gentle rhythm that sustains you now as you rest. It is your breath. It is the most simple, humble, and profoundly powerful tool you possess. We take thousands of breaths every day, yet we pay almost no attention to them. It is the silent, constant rhythm of life, the music playing in the background of our entire existence. And in that very fact lies its power. Because it is so constant and so present, it is the perfect doorway back home, back to the peace of the present moment. Your mind, as we have seen, is a time traveler. It loves to live in the past, a land of ghosts and memories, or in the future, a realm of fantasy and fear. The body, however, can only exist in one place, at one time. Your body is always, completely, in the here and now. The breath is the bridge between the wandering mind and the grounded body. It is the thread that stitches them together. Think about it. You cannot breathe the breath you took yesterday. It is gone. You cannot breathe the breath you will take in an hour. It has not yet arrived. You can only ever experience this breath, the one that is happening right now. The inhalation that is filling your lungs at this very instant, and the exhalation that is releasing from your body now. This is why the breath is the ultimate anchor to the present moment. When you place your attention on the simple, physical sensation of breathing, you pull the mind out of the phantoms of the past and the anxieties of the future, and you invite it home to the only time that is ever real, the time that is now. So let us, together, become acquainted with this lifelong friend. There is nothing for you to do, nothing to force. Let the breath breathe itself. Your body knows exactly how. Your only invitation is to rest your attention upon it, as you would rest your head on a soft pillow. Perhaps you notice the breath most clearly at the tip of your nostrils. You might feel the slight coolness of the air as it enters, and the gentle warmth as it leaves. There is no need to change it, simply feel it. A cool stream flowing in, a warm stream flowing out, or perhaps you feel the breath more in your chest. A gentle rising as the lungs expand, and a subtle falling as they release. A gentle swell and a soft settling. For others, the sensation is most clear in the abdomen, a soft expansion of the belly on the in-breath, and a gentle drawing in on the out-breath. Like a balloon, softly inflating and softly deflating. Find the place where the sensation is clearest for you, and allow your awareness to rest there. There is no right or wrong place, just this gentle rhythm, this simple, physical fact of being alive. And when your mind wanders, which it will, because that is its nature, that is the monkey swinging to another branch, there is no need for frustration. The moment you realize you have been lost in thought is a moment of victory. It is a moment of mindfulness. In that moment you have woken up, and all you do is gently, without any judgment, acknowledge the thought, let it be a cloud in the sky, and then guide your attention back to the anchor, back to the feeling of the breath, back to the coolness at the nostrils, or the rising of the chest, or the expansion of the belly. You might have to do this 100 times, and that is perfectly okay. The practice is not in staying with the breath perfectly. The practice is in the gentle, kind, and patient act of returning, over and over again. Each time you return, you are strengthening the muscle of mindfulness. You are reinforcing the pathway back home. This breath is more than just an anchor. It is your sanctuary. It is a portable refuge that you can access at any time, in any place. When the storms of life arise, when you feel overcome by anxiety or anger or fear, you can always return to your breath. Taking just 3 conscious breaths can change your entire physiology. It sends a powerful signal to your nervous system that you are safe, that you are here, that you are okay. It creates a space between you and the storm. In that space, you have a choice. You can choose not to be swept away by the emotion. The breath is your inner home, a quiet room inside yourself that you can retreat to, no matter how chaotic the world outside becomes. No one can take it from you. It is always there, waiting for you. Each cycle of the breath is also a profound teaching in letting go. With every exhalation, there is a natural release. You are letting go of the air that has nourished you, letting go of what is no longer needed, creating space for something new. And with every inhalation, you are receiving, taking in new life, new energy. The out-breath is a letting go. The in-breath is a new beginning. In and out. Arriving and leaving. Receiving and releasing. This is the very rhythm of life itself. A continuous cycle of birth and death, happening in every moment. There is an ancient story that lies at the very heart of this practice. The story of a man named Siddhartha, who sat beneath a great Bodhi tree, determined to find an end to suffering. He did not engage in complex philosophy. He did not perform elaborate rituals. For days and nights, he simply sat, and he became intimate with his breath. He watched the in-breath, and he watched the out-breath. That was all. And through this simple, unwavering attention, he began to see things with perfect clarity. He saw how thoughts arise and pass away, like clouds. He saw how feelings come and go, like the weather. He saw the nature of his own mind. And in watching the constant, rhythmic flow of his own breath, coming into being and passing away, moment after moment, he understood the fundamental truth of all existence. With this profound and simple practice, he awakened. He became the Buddha. You are doing now what he did then. You are resting your attention on this humble, miraculous process. You are touching the very stream of life itself. So as you lie here, drifting deeper into relaxation, just allow your awareness to merge with this gentle tide. The in-breath, a wave washing ashore. The out-breath, the water receding back into the great ocean of peace. There is nothing else to do, nowhere else to be, just here, with this breath. This simple, sacred rhythm is your guide, leading you out of the scattered noise of the mind and into the profound stillness of your own being. And as we rest here, anchored in the breath, we can begin to notice, just as the Buddha did, the deeper truths it has to teach us about the very nature of life and of letting go. As you continue to rest with the breath, this gentle tide flowing in and out, you may begin to notice something profound. The in-breath is not the out-breath. The moment of fullness is not the moment of emptiness. Each breath is born, it lives its short life, and it dissolves, making way for the next, your very own breath. This rhythm that has sustained you your entire life is your most intimate and constant teacher of a fundamental law of the universe. This law is called impermanence. It simply means that everything changes. Nothing is permanent, nothing stays the same. The universe is not a static photograph. It is a flowing, dynamic river. And this truth, when we resist it, is the source of so much of our struggle. But when we understand it, when we learn to flow with it, it becomes the gateway to a profound and unshakable peace. Imagine you are standing in a powerful flowing river. The water is rushing past you, constantly moving downstream. Now, imagine that you find a branch hanging over the water, and you grab onto it with all your might. You cling to it, believing this branch's safety, this branch's stability. But the river of life keeps flowing, and it pulls at your body. Your muscles begin to ache. Your knuckles are white from the strain. You are exhausted. You are tense. You are at war with the river. You are not at peace. You are in a state of constant, desperate struggle. This clinging to the branch is how we often live our lives. The branch might be a past success, a memory of a time when we were happy. It might be a relationship that has run its course. It might be our youth and physical strength. It might be a particular feeling of pleasure that we want to hold onto forever. We cling to these things, believing they define us, believing they are solid ground. But life, the river, keeps flowing, and our clinging, our resistance to this natural flow, is what causes our pain. The suffering comes not from the fact that the river flows, but from our desperate attempt to stop it. Now, imagine what would happen if you simply let go of the branch. For a moment, it might feel terrifying, a loss of control. But then, the river would catch you. It would hold you. You would become part of its flow. There would be no more struggle, no more resistance. You would be moving with the great current of life, not against it. This is the peace of accepting impermanence. It is the wisdom of letting go. We can begin to see the beauty in this constant flow, a beauty that would be impossible in a world that was frozen and static. Think of a beautiful sunset. Its magic, its breathtaking quality, comes from the fact that it is changing every second. The colors deepen, they shift from orange to pink to deep purple, and then they fade into the darkness of night. If you could freeze a sunset and make it permanent, it would lose its aliveness, its poignant beauty. It would just be a picture. Music, too, is made of impermanence. Its beauty lies in the progression of notes, the rhythm, and the silence between them. A single note held forever would not be music, it would be a torment. Life's preciousness is woven from the threads of impermanence. We cherish the warmth of a sunny day because we know the clouds will eventually return. We savor a delicious meal because we know the taste will soon be gone. We hold a loved one close because we know, on some deep level, that nothing lasts forever. To resist change is to resist the very thing that makes life beautiful, meaningful, and precious. When we fight it, we suffer. When we embrace it, we begin to live more fully, more gratefully. We stop taking the present moment for granted because we understand it is a gift, a fleeting guest that will never return in exactly the same way. You can experience this truth directly, right now, as you lie here. Let your awareness drift through your own body. Is it the same body it was 10 years ago? 1 year ago? Even 1 hour ago? Right now, millions of processes are unfolding within you. Cells are being born and dying. Your heart is beating its steady rhythm. Sensations on your skin appear, tingle for a moment, and then vanish. Your body is not a solid statue. It is a flowing river of processes, a symphony of change. Now, bring your awareness to your feelings. Think back on your day. Perhaps this morning you felt energetic, and by the afternoon you felt tired. Perhaps you felt happy after a pleasant conversation, and later felt a pang of frustration in traffic. Feelings are like the weather of the mind. They are not you. They are visitors that pass through the vast sky of your awareness. They come, they stay for a while, and if you let them, they will go. And your thoughts. This is the most obvious waterfall of impermanence. One thought arises, and before you can even grasp it, another has taken its place. It is a continuous, unstoppable stream. Seeing this directly in your own experience is liberating. You realize you don't have to cling to any of it. It is all in flow. There is a story about a man who went to the beach and began to build a magnificent sandcastle. He worked for hours, creating tall towers, intricate walls, and a beautiful moat. He was very proud of his creation. As the day wore on, he noticed the tide beginning to turn, the waves creeping closer and closer to his castle. A sense of panic arose in him. He ran back and forth, building a wall of sand to keep the water out. He tried to dig channels to divert the waves. He became angry and frustrated, shouting at the ocean as the first small waves began to lap at the foundations of his beautiful castle, watching it slowly begin to dissolve. He was at war with the sea. Not far away, another woman was also on the beach. She too had built a lovely, simple castle. She sat near it, watching the tide come in. As the waves approached her creation, a soft smile appeared on her face. She watched with a calm fascination as the water swirled around the walls, gently softening the sharp edges, and slowly, beautifully, pulling the sand back into the great body of the ocean. She knew the nature of sandcastles. She knew the nature of the tide. She had enjoyed the process of building, of creating, knowing it was temporary. She was at peace with the ocean. Our lives, our identities, our successes, our failures, our joys, and our sorrows. They are all like sandcastles. We build them with great effort and become very attached to them. But the tide of time, the river of impermanence, is always flowing. It will, inevitably, wash over everything we build. The secret to peace is not to build a castle so strong that it can resist the ocean. That is impossible. The secret is to become like the wise woman. To enjoy the building, to love the process, and to smile with wisdom when it is time to let it go. When we can do this, we are free. We are no longer at war with reality. We can rest, even as the tides of our life ebb and flow. This understanding, this deep acceptance of the flow of things, helps us to loosen our grip on everything external. We stop clinging so tightly to outcomes, to possessions, to other people's opinions. But there is one thing we cling to more tightly than any other, the sandcastle we protect most fiercely. That is the builder of the castle itself, our very sense of I. And so, our journey now takes us deeper, to gently examine the nature of this self that we hold so dear. As the river of impermanence flows on, carrying everything with it, we come to the great question. We have watched the sandcastle of our life dissolve back into the shore, and we have learned to smile. But what of the one who built the castle? What of this constant feeling of I that seems to be watching all of this? This sense of me, the one who is listening to these words, the one who feels and thinks and remembers. We treat this I as the one solid rock in the middle of the flowing river, the one thing that doesn't change. We believe we are the thinker of the thoughts, the feeler of the feelings, the unchanging hero at the center of our own story. But tonight, in this safe and quiet space, we are invited to look a little closer, to gently question this assumption, and in doing so, to perhaps lift the heaviest burden we have ever carried. What is this self, this I? If you look for it, where do you find it? Is it in your body? But your body is changing every moment. The cells that make up your hand today are not the same cells that were there 7 years ago. The body of a child, a teenager, an adult, an elder. They are all vastly different, yet we call them all me. So the self cannot be the body, for the body is part of the river, not a solid rock. Is the self in your feelings? But as we have seen, feelings are like the weather, constantly shifting. Happiness arises and passes away. Sadness comes and goes. A feeling is a fleeting event, not a permanent identity. So you are not your feelings. Are you your thoughts? But thoughts are even more fleeting. A waterfall of ideas, images, and words, constantly cascading through your awareness. You are not your thoughts, for they are like clouds, not the sky. So what is left? The self we believe in so strongly is actually more like a story than a solid thing. It is a story woven together from threads of memory, from the names we are called, from the roles we play. A parent, a child, a friend, a worker, a neighbor. It is constructed from our beliefs, our opinions, our likes, and our dislikes. We gather all these threads and we weave them into a character, the main character in the movie of our life, and we call this character me. This story is useful. It helps us navigate the world, to have relationships, to function in society. But the great secret is that it is just that, a story. We are the author, and we have become so captivated by our own character that we have forgotten we are the one writing it. To believe this story is our true, unchanging essence is the source of so much tension and fear, because if there is a solid, separate me, then it must be protected. It becomes a small fortress that we must defend at all costs. This is the heavy burden of the self. When someone criticizes us, our fortress is under attack, and we feel anger and defensiveness. When someone else achieves success, our fortress seems smaller by comparison, and we feel envy or jealousy. We live in constant, low-level fear. The fear of our fortress being damaged, the fear of it being ignored, and the ultimate fear that one day, it will be completely obliterated. We spend so much energy polishing the walls of this fortress, decorating it with achievements and possessions, and worrying about cracks in its foundation. It is an exhausting, lifelong task, this constant maintenance of the self. This is the heavy backpack we carry everywhere, filled with our identity, our history, our pride, and our wounds. There is a story of a great general, a man whose entire identity was forged in battle. His name was known throughout the land. His uniform was adorned with medals, each one a testament to his strength, his strategy, and his importance. The story of the great general was the story of his life. Yet, in the quiet moments, he felt a deep unease, a hollowness that all his victories could not fill. Seeking peace, he traveled to meet a wise old hermit who lived simply in the mountains. The general, still wearing his story like a suit of armor, would try to meditate, but his mind was full of himself, his past glories, his responsibilities, his reputation. The hermit gave him no grand teachings, but simply had him engage in simple tasks: chopping wood, carrying water from the stream, tending the small garden. Day after day, the general performed these simple, humble actions. Slowly, something inside him began to shift. As he felt the rough texture of the wood and the cold reality of the water, he began to feel a connection to life that was more real than any of his medals. He began to see that the general was a role he had played, a costume he had worn. It was a heavy, restrictive costume. One evening, sitting in silence, he had a profound realization. There was no general here, in the quiet of the mountain. There was just a man, breathing, just awareness, watching the sunset. In that moment, the story fell away. He saw it for what it was. He felt an incredible lightness, a freedom he had never known on any battlefield. The story says he eventually left the mountain, but he left his uniform and his medals behind. He returned to the world not as a great general, but simply as a man, finding more joy in a simple cup of tea than he ever found in the cheers of a crowd. This story points to a radical kind of freedom. Freedom is not about getting more medals to decorate your fortress. It is not about becoming a better self or a more perfect self. That is just more construction, more maintenance, more exhaustion. True freedom is in the letting go of the fortress altogether. It is the realization that you are not the limited, fragile story you have been telling yourself. You are the vast, open awareness in which the story is happening. This does not mean you lose your personality or your memories. The unique flavors of your life remain. The general still knew how to lead, but it was no longer the source of his identity. It means you stop clinging. You put down the heavy backpack. The wind of criticism can blow right through you, because there is no solid wall for it to hit. The success of another does not diminish you, because you are not in a competition. You feel a deeper connection to everyone and everything, because the walls of your fortress have dissolved, revealing that we are all part of the same vast landscape. So, as you rest here, allow yourself to entertain this possibility. What if you are not the character, but the author? What if you are not the sandcastle, but the entire beach? What if you are not the thought, but the silence that allows the thought to be heard? Feel the sense of relief that comes with this. The letting go of the exhausting job of being me. You don't have to be anything. You can simply be. This spaciousness, this freedom from the burden of the self, changes everything. It changes our relationship with our own mind and with our own emotions. When we are no longer defending the fortress of I, we can finally meet our feelings, even the most difficult ones, not as a threat, but simply as energy, as weather passing through the vast, open sky of our being. And it is from this open space that we can now turn to face one of the most powerful forms of energy we experience, the fire of anger. Having gently laid down the heavy burden of the self, the fortress of I, we find ourselves in a new inner landscape. It is more open, more spacious. When the winds of life blow, they can now move through us without meeting so much resistance. And in this open space, we can learn to relate to our most powerful emotions in a new and healing way. One of the most powerful energies we encounter, a fire that can feel all-consuming, is the energy of anger. For most of our lives, we are taught that anger is wrong, that it is a destructive force to be suppressed, denied, or hidden away. Or, we learn the opposite, to let it erupt like a volcano, scorching everything and everyone in its path, including ourselves. Tonight, we will explore a third path, a middle way of wisdom and compassion, a way to face the fire of anger without getting burned. Imagine anger is a visitor who arrives, unannounced, at the door of your home. It bangs loudly, its face is red, and it seems to radiate an intense, uncomfortable heat. What do we usually do? Our first instinct might be to slam the door shut, lock it, and pretend no one is home. This is suppression. We push the anger down into the basement of our consciousness, hoping it will go away, but it doesn't. It stays in the basement, festering, poisoning the foundation of our house. It can turn into resentment, bitterness, or even physical illness. It takes an enormous amount of energy to keep that basement door locked, and the tension lives constantly in our bodies. The second common reaction is to fling the door wide open and let the angry visitor take over. This is uncontrolled expression. The visitor storms into our home, shouting, breaking furniture, and turning our peaceful space into chaos. We identify completely with the anger, we become the anger, and we speak and act from its fiery energy, creating harm for ourselves and for those around us, leaving a trail of regret in our wake. There is another way. It requires courage and mindfulness. When anger bangs on the door, we can practice pausing. We take a breath. We acknowledge that a visitor has arrived. Then, we can mindfully open the door. We don't have to let the visitor run wild, but we don't slam the door in its face either. We can say, mentally, "Hello, anger. I see that you are here. I know you are carrying a lot of energy. Come in, but please, let us sit together quietly for a moment." You are not agreeing with the anger. You are not condoning it. You are simply acknowledging its presence without being swept away by it. You are offering it the hospitality of your awareness. This simple act of acknowledgement is transformative. It changes the relationship from one of conflict to one of curiosity. You are no longer the victim of the anger, nor its perpetrator. You are the calm, wise host, creating a safe space for a difficult conversation to begin. The most powerful tool for creating this inner space is the one we have already befriended: our breath. The moment you feel the heat of anger begin to rise, the tightening in your jaw, the clenching in your fists, the racing of your heart, your first action can be to turn your attention to your breath. It is your anchor in the present moment, your refuge from the storm. You can practice breathing in and saying to yourself, breathing in, "I know that anger is here in me." And breathing out, "I am smiling to my anger." A gentle, half smile is not a denial of the anger, but a sign of your courage and your steadfastness. You are not afraid, you are here. Each conscious breath acts like a balm on the fire. It creates a space between your awareness and the raw energy of the emotion. Imagine pouring a small amount of salt into a glass of water. The water becomes very salty, almost undrinkable. But if you pour that same glass of salty water into a large clear lake, the saltiness is dispersed. It is still there, but its intensity is gone. Your spacious, calm awareness is that lake. The breath is the action of pouring the anger into the vastness of your awareness, allowing its concentrated energy to soften and spread out. A great Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh, offers a beautiful and deeply compassionate way to practice with anger. He teaches us to look at our anger as a crying baby. When a mother hears her baby crying, what does she do? A good mother does not ignore the baby, nor does she shout at it to be quiet. That would only make the baby cry more. The first thing she does is go to the baby, pick it up, and hold it tenderly in her arms. She holds it firmly, with love, and she might soothe it by saying, there, I know you are suffering. Mommy is here for you. I will take care of you." This is precisely how we can learn to treat our anger. Our anger is our baby. It is a part of us that is suffering. So, the first step is to pick up our angry baby. Our arms are our mindfulness. We embrace our anger with our conscious, loving attention. We don't have to analyze it or judge it. We simply hold it. We say, internally, "Hello, my anger. I know you are there. You are suffering, and that is why you are crying. I am here for you. I will take care of you." This act of holding your anger with tenderness is a radical act of self-love and non-violence. You are stopping the war inside yourself. You are no longer fighting the anger or running from it. You are caring for it. And just like a baby that is held, the raw energy of the anger often begins to calm down. It feels seen. It feels acknowledged. It feels safe. Only after holding the baby for some time, only after its crying has subsided a little, does the mother look more deeply to find the cause of its suffering. Is the baby hungry? Is it cold? Is there a safety pin that is hurting it? In the same way, Once we have held our anger with mindfulness and its intensity has lessened, we can begin to look deeply into it to see its roots. Anger, very often, is a secondary emotion. It is a loud, protective shield for something much more vulnerable and tender underneath. When you look deeply into the heart of your anger, you will almost always find a deep hurt. You might find the pain of being misunderstood or unheard. You might find a feeling of injustice, of seeing something precious being violated. You might find a profound fear or a sense of powerlessness. When you can touch this soft, vulnerable place beneath the anger, your heart naturally opens. You see the true source of the suffering. And this is how the energy transforms. The raw, destructive heat of the fire is transmuted into the warmth of compassion. You feel compassion for your own hurt, for your own vulnerable inner child. And sometimes, you may even find the space to look at the person who was the object of your anger and see their suffering, their crying baby, the hurt or fear that caused them to act in a way that hurt you. The energy that could have been used to destroy is now transformed into the light of understanding, the fuel for wise and compassionate action. This is a practice for a lifetime. It is not about never feeling anger again. Anger is a natural human energy, a powerful messenger. The practice is about learning to listen to its message with wisdom and kindness. It is about learning to be the host, not the hostage. It is about learning to be the loving parent to your own inner child. As you rest now, know that you have the capacity within you to meet even the fiercest fires with spaciousness and compassion. You have the anchor of your breath, and you have the wisdom to hold your own suffering with infinite tenderness. This gentle way of being with our difficult emotions is a universal practice, and it applies just as well to another frequent visitor to our inner home, a visitor who often lingers in the shadows, a guest who is quieter and heavier than anger, the guest of sadness. As the fire of anger cools into the warmth of understanding, we may find ourselves in a different part of our inner landscape. Here, the ground is softer, the air is heavier. We may encounter another frequent visitor to our inner home, a guest that is quieter than anger, but can feel immensely heavy. This is the guest of sadness. In our world, we are often taught to fear this guest. We are told to cheer up, to look on the bright side, to be strong. We treat sadness as a sign of weakness, a problem to be solved, a state to escape from as quickly as possible. When we feel its heavy cloak begin to settle on our shoulders, we distract ourselves, we numb ourselves, we do anything to avoid feeling its weight. In doing this, we abandon a part of ourselves, leaving it out in the cold, unheard and uncared for. Tonight, we will do something different. We will offer this guest the deepest hospitality. We will give ourselves permission to be fully human, to embrace our sadness with the same tenderness we offer a beloved friend. The first truth we must embrace is that sadness is not a mistake. It is not a flaw in your design. Sadness is a natural, intelligent, and healthy response to the realities of life. It is the heart's way of processing loss, disappointment, and the poignant truth of impermanence. Sadness arises because you have loved something. It appears because you have cared deeply. If you have ever felt sadness over a loss, it is a testament to your capacity for connection, a measure of the love you have given. To deny your sadness is to deny the value of what you have lost. Sadness is the rain that must fall to water the earth of our hearts after a drought. It is the quiet, slow-moving river that helps to carry away the debris of what is no longer. To try and stop this river is to build a dam that will inevitably crack under the pressure, or to create a stagnant swamp within our own soul. Allowing it to flow, however, cleanses and renews the landscape of our being, preparing it for new growth. So how do we allow this river to flow, especially when its waters feel so deep and dark? We do it not by diving in and drowning, but by sitting peacefully on the riverbank and watching it pass. We do it with the same tools of mindfulness we have been cultivating. We create a safe space inside ourselves, a sanctuary where sadness is welcome. When you feel the familiar heaviness of sadness, instead of turning away, you can gently turn towards it. You can let your awareness explore the physical sensations of this emotion. Where does it live in your body? Perhaps it is a hollowness in your chest, a weight on your shoulders, a lump in your throat, or a weariness behind your eyes. There is no need to name it or analyze it. Simply bring your gentle, curious attention to the physical feeling itself. And then, you can breathe with it. Breathe into that heavy space. Imagine your breath is like a warm golden light, carrying kindness and presence. You are not breathing to push the feeling away. You are breathing to keep it company. You are placing a gentle, loving hand on that part of you that aches. You are saying, with each breath, I am here with you. It is okay. You are allowed to be here. There is no rush to feel better. The only task is to be present, to be kind, to allow. There is a powerful ancient story that teaches us about the nature of grief and sadness. A young woman named Kisa Gotami was lost in an agony of sorrow. Her only child, a young boy, had died, and she could not accept it. She wandered from person to person, clutching the small, lifeless body in her arms, begging for a medicine that could bring him back. Some mocked her, others pitied her, but no one could help. Finally, someone advised her to go and see the Buddha. She ran to him, laid her son at his feet, and pleaded for the miracle cure. The Buddha looked at her with eyes of immense compassion. He did not tell her that death was final or that her grief was pointless. He met her in her reality. He said to her, "There is only one medicine that can help you. Go into the village and bring me back a single mustard seed from a house where no one has ever died, where no child, spouse, parent, or friend has ever been lost." Filled with a desperate hope, Kisa Gotami began her search. She went to the first house, and a kind woman opened the door. "Can you spare a mustard seed for the enlightened one?" Kisa Gotami asked. Of course, the woman said, "But first, tell me, has anyone in this house ever died?" The woman's face grew soft with sorrow. "Ah," she sighed, "the living are few, but the dead are many. I lost my beloved husband just last year." With a heavy heart, Kisa Gotami went to the next house, and the next, and the next. The story was the same at every door. Every family had a mustard seed to give, but every family had also known the deep pain of loss. One had lost a parent, another a child, another a sibling, another a dear friend. As she traveled from door to door, listening to these stories, something inside her began to shift. She was no longer alone in her unbearable pain. Her grief, which had felt so personal, so isolating, began to expand. She saw that loss was not a punishment inflicted upon her, but a universal thread woven into the very fabric of human life. It was the price of love. Her sharp, singular agony began to soften and dissolve into a vast, shared ocean of compassion. She realized that every person she met was carrying their own silent sorrow. Her heart broke open, not just for her own loss, but for the loss of all beings. She returned to the Buddha that evening without a mustard seed, but with a heart that was profoundly transformed. She understood. When we allow ourselves to truly feel our own sadness, we are embarking on the same journey as Kisa Gotami. We are walking from door to door within our own hearts. By having the courage to stay with our own pain, without turning away, we touch a universal truth. We touch the soft, vulnerable heart of all humanity. This process of embracing sadness does not make us weaker. It deepens us. It carves out a greater capacity for love within us. A heart that has been cracked open by sorrow is a heart that is more open to joy, more open to connection, more open to the beauty of this fragile, fleeting life. It makes us more compassionate, more humble, and more kind. We no longer have to pretend to be strong. We can be real. And so, as you rest here, if there is any sadness present in you, no matter how old or how fresh, you can offer it this same gentle welcome. See it not as a flaw, but as a testament to your loving heart. Breathe with it. Hold it like a sleeping child. Allow it to be a sacred part of your human experience. This deep work of tending to the difficult emotions, of tilling the soil of our hearts, is essential. It creates a rich, fertile ground inside of us. And once this ground has been softened by the rains of sadness and cleared by the fires of understanding, it is ready. It is ready to receive new seeds. We can now consciously and intentionally choose to plant and water the seeds of well-being, starting with one of the most powerful and transformative practices of all, the practice of gratitude. Having journeyed through the deep waters of sadness and the purifying fires of anger, we find the soil of our heart is now tilled. soft, and ready. We have done the courageous work of making space, of allowing what is difficult to be present. And now, in this fertile and receptive ground, we can consciously choose which seeds we wish to plant and water. We can begin to actively cultivate the garden of our mind, encouraging the flowers of well-being to grow and flourish. One of the most powerful, life-altering seeds we can plant is the seed of gratitude. This is not a practice of denial, of pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is a conscious, intentional shift of attention, a profound act of mental retraining that can change the very chemistry of our being, leading us from a sense of lack to a deep and abiding feeling of abundance. Our minds, for very good evolutionary reasons, have what is known as a negativity bias. Our ancient ancestors survived not by remembering every beautiful sunset, but by remembering the location of the predator, the taste of the poisonous berry, the sound of the approaching danger. The brain became like Velcro for negative experiences, holding on to them tightly for future protection, and like Teflon for positive experiences, letting them slide right off. This survival mechanism, while useful in a dangerous world, can become a source of chronic unhappiness in our modern lives. It means our default setting is often to scan our lives for what is wrong, what is missing, what is not good enough. We can have 100 wonderful things happen in a day, and one small negative thing, and our mind will obsess over that one thing, ignoring the abundance of good that surrounds us. Gratitude is the conscious, gentle antidote to this programming. It is the practice of intentionally looking for the good. It is like choosing to water the flowers in your garden instead of only watering the weeds. The weeds may still be there, but as the flowers grow stronger and more vibrant, they naturally begin to dominate the landscape of your mind. The true magic of gratitude lies in its simplicity. It does not require grand gestures or momentous occasions. In fact, the most potent form of gratitude is often for the small, overlooked miracles that we are swimming in every single moment. As you lie here now, you can begin this gentle practice. Allow a feeling of thankfulness to arise for the simple fact of the bed or the surface that is supporting your body. It is holding you completely, asking for nothing in return. Feel the full weight of your body, and feel the solid, dependable support beneath you. A simple gift. Perhaps you can feel a sense of gratitude for the roof over your head, for the walls that surround you, creating a sanctuary of shelter and safety from the world outside. Another simple, profound gift. Listen to the quiet of the room. In a world so full of noise, a moment of silence is a treasure. Allow yourself to be grateful for this quiet space. And now, return your attention to your anchor, your breath. This constant, faithful rhythm. You do not have to command your lungs to breathe or your heart to beat. Your body performs these millions of miracles every day without any conscious effort from you. Can you feel a sense of wonder, of gratitude for this incredible intelligence that keeps you alive? For the air that fills your lungs, nourishing every cell in your body, and for the release of the exhalation, letting go of what is no longer needed. This is not just air, it is life itself, offered freely in every moment. Gratitude opens our eyes to the ordinary magic we so often take for granted. The warmth of a blanket, the taste of cool water, the ability to see the darkness behind your closed eyelids, the ability to hear these words. Each one is a gift. Each one is a reason for a soft inner smile of thanks. This practice, over time, shifts gratitude from something you do to something you are. It becomes an inner attitude, a lens through which you see the world, and this makes your peace independent of external circumstances. Happiness is often conditional. I will be happy when I get that promotion, when I find a partner, when I fix this problem. It depends on things going our way. Gratitude, however, is unconditional. It is the art of finding joy in what we already have. It is about wanting what is, rather than wanting what is not. This makes us incredibly resilient. Even on the most difficult of days, when the weeds in the garden seem to be taking over, we can always find something to be grateful for. A moment of stillness, the kindness of a stranger, the strength we discovered within ourselves to get through a challenge. Gratitude does not deny the difficulty, but it holds it in a larger context of grace. There is a simple story of a wealthy merchant, a man who had everything but was deeply unhappy. always worried about his business and his reputation. One day, he came across a beggar sitting by the side of the road, dressed in rags, holding an empty bowl. Yet, the beggar had a serene smile on his face. The merchant, annoyed, stopped and asked him, "How can you possibly sit there smiling? You have nothing." The beggar looked up, his eyes clear and peaceful, and held up his empty bowl. "I am smiling because I have so much to be grateful for," he replied. "I am grateful for this bowl, for without it, I could not receive the gifts of food that people share. I am grateful for the sun on my skin, which warms me without charge. I am grateful for this solid earth beneath me, which supports me without fail. And I am grateful for the air that fills my lungs, which is the most precious gift of all. My bowl may be empty, but my heart is full." This is the power of gratitude. It is a choice of where we place our focus. Do we focus on what is missing, or do we focus on the gifts that are already present? As you continue to drift towards sleep, you can practice this in a gentle way. Let your mind drift back over your day, from the time you woke up until this very moment, and see if you can find 3 small things for which you feel a sense of gratitude. They do not need to be big. Perhaps it was the taste of your first cup of tea or coffee, the sound of a bird singing outside your window, a pleasant conversation with a friend, a moment of beauty you noticed, a problem you successfully navigated, a comfortable chair. Just find 3 small, simple moments. Hold each one in your awareness for a moment. Savor it. Feel the echo of that simple goodness. As you do this, you are planting seeds of peace, contentment, and well-being directly into the fertile soil of your mind. You are telling your subconscious to look for the good, to marinate in feelings of peace as you sleep, allowing these feelings to heal and restore you on a very deep level. When we practice gratitude regularly, our hearts begin to soften and open in a new way. A sense of fullness replaces the feeling of lack. A sense of connection replaces the feeling of isolation. This open, grateful heart is the most fertile ground there is. And from this rich and welcoming soil, the most beautiful flower in the garden of the heart can begin to grow. This is the flower of compassion, the boundless, unconditional love for yourself and for all beings. From the fertile open ground of a grateful heart, a space has been created for the most beautiful flower to grow. This flower is known as compassion or loving kindness. It is the gentle, unconditional wish for all beings, including ourselves, to be happy and free from suffering. It is not a sentimental emotion, but a deep and powerful state of being, a warmth that can melt the iciest parts of our own hearts and radiate out into the world. Tonight, we will tend to this flower, learning to cultivate our own innate capacity for a boundless, healing compassion. And the first and most important place we must begin this cultivation is in the soil of our own being. For so many of us, this is the most difficult step. We find it easier to offer kindness to others than to ourselves. We are often our own harshest critic, holding ourselves to impossible standards, replaying our mistakes, and speaking to ourselves with a voice far more cruel than any we would use with a friend. We are taught that focusing on ourselves is selfish. But a wise person once said, "You cannot pour from an empty cup." If your own vessel is dry, what kindness can you genuinely offer to another? Self-compassion is not selfish. It is the necessary foundation for all true compassion. It is the act of filling our own cup, so that it may naturally overflow and nourish those around us. It is the simple recognition that we, too, are a human being, worthy of the same kindness, forgiveness, and care that we would extend to anyone we love. Let us begin this gentle practice now. You might find it helpful to place a hand gently over the center of your chest, over your heart space. Feel the gentle pressure and the warmth from your own hand. This is a simple, physical gesture of kindness towards yourself. A way of saying, "I am here." Now, in the quiet of your own mind, we will offer ourselves some simple, healing wishes. As you repeat these phrases silently, do not worry about trying to feel a certain way. The power is in the gentle repetition of the intention, like planting a seed. The feeling will grow in its own time. Breathing gently, offer yourself this wish. May I be safe. May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I feel protected and secure. Breathing gently, may I be healthy. May my body be strong and free from illness. May I have the energy to live my life fully. Breathing gently, may I be peaceful and at ease. May my mind be calm and my heart be untroubled. May I be free from the storms of anxiety and fear. And breathing gently, may I be happy. May I know true happiness, a happiness that comes from within. May I be filled with joy. Continue to repeat these phrases softly to yourself, like a gentle lullaby for your own heart. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. And as part of this kindness, let us extend ourselves the gift of forgiveness. Call to mind any mistakes you have made, any time you have fallen short of your own expectations. See them not as permanent stains on your character, but as moments of being a fallible, learning human being. And you can say to yourself, I forgive myself. I did the best I could with the understanding I had at the time. I release the burden of perfection. I allow myself to be human. Feel the lightness that comes with that release. You are filling your own cup with the warm, healing waters of self-compassion. Now, from this place of growing fullness, let us allow our cup to overflow. Bring to your mind's eye the image of someone you love dearly and easily. It could be a close friend, a family member, a mentor, or even a beloved pet. Picture them clearly, see them smiling and happy, and holding their image in your heart, extend to them the very same wishes. May you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful and at ease, may you be happy. Feel the natural warmth of your heart extending outwards to this cherished being. There is no effort in this. It is a natural flow of love. Next, let us stretch our heart a little further. Bring to mind a neutral person, someone you neither like nor dislike. Perhaps it's the person who checks out your groceries, a neighbor you see but don't know well, or someone you pass on your daily commute. See them in your mind's eye, and recognize that this person, just like you, wants to be happy and free from suffering. And so, you extend the same wishes to them. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. In doing this, you are breaking down the artificial barriers of separation and recognizing your shared humanity. And now, the most profound practice of all. If it feels right for you, gently bring to mind someone with whom you have difficulty. This is not about condoning harmful actions, but about freeing your own heart from the poison of resentment. The anger and hatred we hold for another is a hot coal that we hold in our own hand, hoping to throw it, but we are the one who gets burned. This practice is for your own liberation, recognizing that this person's harmful actions likely come from their own deep suffering, their own crying baby inside. You can, for your own sake, offer them a wish. May you be free from the suffering that causes you to create suffering for others. May you too find peace. This act can untie the tightest knots in our heart. Finally, let your awareness expand like a great light, radiating out from your heart. Imagine it encompassing everyone in your home, your neighborhood, your city. Let it expand further, covering your country, the entire continent, the whole world. See this warm, golden light of loving kindness touching every being without exception. The animals, the plants, people of all nations, all colors, all beliefs. And you offer this universal wish. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be happy. Rest in this feeling of boundless, unconditional friendliness. Do not ever mistake this compassion for weakness. It is the most powerful force in the universe. There is a story of the Buddha's jealous cousin, Devadatta, who, consumed by hatred, plotted to kill him. He got a fierce elephant named Nalagiri, drunk on intoxicants, and unleashed it onto the narrow street where the Buddha was walking. The people screamed and fled in terror as the elephant charged, a vision of pure, unstoppable rage. The Buddha's attendant, Ananda, tried to stand in front of him, but the Buddha gently moved him aside. He stood still, facing the charging beast. He did not prepare to fight or run. Instead, he radiated a powerful, silent wave of pure, unconditional loving kindness directly at the enraged elephant. The story says that as the elephant entered this field of compassion, its frenzied charge began to slow. The rage in its eyes was replaced by confusion, then calm. It came to a stop before the Buddha and knelt down, completely pacified, its great head bowed. This story teaches us that compassion has the power to disarm a rage that violence would only inflame. It is a shield and a balm. It is the strength to meet hatred not with more hatred, but with a firm and unwavering heart of love. When you cultivate compassion, you are cultivating this same power within yourself. It becomes a state of being, a steady commitment you make in your heart to wish for the well-being of all. It is not always a warm feeling, but always a clear intention. And a heart that is committed to compassion finds it very difficult to live in the cold, narrow prison of judgment. When your primary wish is for others to be free from suffering, you naturally become less interested in judging the behaviors that arise from that very suffering. This compassionate heart is the key that unlocks the door of that prison, leading us into the open field of acceptance. With a heart that has been watered by gratitude and opened by the warmth of compassion, we are now able to approach one of the most stubborn and deeply ingrained habits of the mind. This is the habit of judgment. Think of your mind as a courtroom. From the moment you wake up, the trial is in session. A constant inner narrator sits on the judge's bench, its gavel rising and falling, labeling every experience, every person, and every action as either good or bad, right or wrong, worthy or unworthy. And most of the time, the one on trial is you. This inner judge is a relentless critic, a stern perfectionist, and it has built a small, cold prison cell for us, with walls made of our own opinions and bars made of our own beliefs. Tonight, we will find the key to this prison. We will learn how to walk out of the courtroom and into the open, fresh air of acceptance. This habit of judgment is not a personal failing. It is a deeply programmed mental shortcut, a way the mind tries to quickly make sense of a complex world. We learn it from a young age, absorbing the opinions and biases of our families and our culture. The mind creates categories, it applies labels, it makes snap decisions, all in an attempt to feel safe and in control. But this constant labeling comes at a great cost. It creates a world of separation. When we judge others, we build a wall between ourselves and them. We place ourselves on a pedestal of being right or better, and from this lonely height, true connection is impossible. We see a caricature of a person, not their full, complex humanity. And when we turn this sharp weapon of judgment on ourselves, the result is a state of chronic anxiety and a feeling of never being good enough. We live with a constant fear of making a mistake, of being found out as the imposter our inner judge tells us we are. It is utterly exhausting to be both the judge and the prisoner, the prosecutor and the defendant, in a trial that never ends. The first step to escaping this prison is simply to become aware of the judge. It is to watch the process of judgment happening in the mind, without judging the judging itself. When a critical thought about someone arises, you can gently note to yourself, there is judgment. When a harsh criticism of yourself appears, you can notice, there is the inner critic. You are not the judge. You are the silent, spacious awareness that is noticing the judge's voice. This simple act of noticing creates a sliver of space, a moment of freedom. You are no longer fused with the thought. You are the observer of the thought. In that space, you have a choice. You do not have to believe the verdict of this inner judge. You can let the thought be there, like a piece of old, programmed code running in the background, without giving it your power or your belief. In that space of freedom, we can introduce a gentle and powerful antidote to judgment. This antidote is curiosity. Where judgment is hard, closed, and certain, curiosity is soft, open, and full of wonder. They cannot coexist in the same moment. So, when you notice the judging mind arising, you can consciously choose to pivot to curiosity. For instance, if you find yourself judging someone for something they said or did, instead of settling on the verdict of they are wrong or they are a bad person, you can ask, I wonder what is happening in their life that led them to say that. I wonder what pain or fear might be driving their behavior. This question instantly dissolves the wall of separation and opens a door to potential understanding and compassion. It shifts the focus from condemnation to inquiry. And when the inner judge attacks you for a perceived failure, instead of agreeing with the verdict of I am not good enough, you can gently ask, what was I trying to achieve here? What need was I trying to meet? What can I learn from this experience that will help me in the future? This transforms a moment of self-flagellation into a moment of self-discovery and growth. Curiosity is a balm that soothes the harshness of the critical mind. There is a classic Zen story that perfectly illustrates the burden of judgment and the freedom of letting it go. Two monks, one senior and one junior, were on a long pilgrimage. They had taken vows of celibacy and were forbidden from even touching a woman. After walking for many hours, they came to a river where the bridge had been washed away. The current was strong, and the riverbed was a sea of thick mud. A beautiful young woman in fine silk robes stood at the river's edge, distressed, unable to cross without ruining her clothes and risking being swept away. Seeing her predicament, the senior monk, without a word, waded into the river, lifted the woman into his arms, carried her across to the other side, and gently set her down. He bowed and continued on his journey. The junior monk was utterly scandalized. He was speechless with shock and disapproval. For the next several hours, as they walked in silence, a storm of judgment raged in his mind. How could he do that? He broke our sacred vows. He is not a true monk. What a terrible example. What will people think? The weight of his judgment grew heavier with every step. He replayed the scene over and over, his anger and resentment building. Finally, unable to bear the turmoil any longer, he burst out and confronted the senior monk. "Brother," he said, his voice trembling with indignation, "why did you do that? Why did you carry that woman across the river? You know that is forbidden." The senior monk stopped walking and turned to his young companion. A gentle, compassionate smile graced his lips. He looked at the junior monk's tormented face and said softly, "Brother, I left that woman by the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story is a profound teaching for all of us. The junior monk, trapped in the prison of his judgment, was carrying a heavy, imaginary burden long after the event itself was over. His mind was not at peace. He was not present to the journey, to the trees, to the sky. He was trapped in his own mental courtroom. The senior monk, on the other hand, acted with simple, spontaneous compassion, and then he let the moment go completely. He was free. He was light. He was present. So, as you rest here, you can ask yourself, what do you still carry? What old resentments, what grudges, what harsh judgments about yourself or others are you still holding on to, long after the event has passed? Each one is a heavy stone in your backpack. Each one is a woman by the river that you refuse to put down. Imagine the lightness, the freedom, of simply letting them go, of dropping the stones one by one. When you release the habit of judgment, you can finally see clearly. You can see yourself and others, not as good or bad, but simply as human. You can see the whole, complex person, with their light and their shadow, their strengths and their struggles. And when you can see the world without the distorting filter of your own judgment, you can finally arrive, fully, in the present moment, ready to experience its beauty just as it is. With the heavy gavel of the inner judge laid to rest, and the cold walls of the prison of judgment dissolved, we find ourselves standing in a new place. It is a place of openness, of clarity, of quiet. We have arrived here, in this moment. This is the only place where life ever truly happens. The past is a ghost, a collection of memories and stories that exist only as thoughts in the present. The future is a phantom, a collection of hopes and fears that also exist only as thoughts in the present. The only reality, the only time you have ever been alive, is now. So much of our suffering comes from our mind's tendency to live in these two non-existent realms, abandoning the one place that is real and full of life. To return to the present moment is to come home. Think of how much of your life is lived as a ghost. When you are driving your car, are you really driving? Or are you replaying a conversation from yesterday, or planning your evening, your mind 1,000 miles away from the road, the car, the journey itself? When you are eating a meal, are you truly tasting the food? Or are you scrolling on your phone, watching television, lost in a cloud of worry, the flavors and textures passing by completely unnoticed? We float through our days, our minds constantly elsewhere, and then we wonder why we feel disconnected, unfulfilled, and anxious. we are missing our own lives. We are ghosts in the machine of our own body, haunting the hallways of our own existence, without ever truly touching the walls or feeling the floor beneath our feet. The practice of mindfulness, of coming into the present moment, is the simple, radical act of deciding to inhabit your life fully. It is the choice to become embodied, to feel the floor beneath your feet, and to finally, truly arrive home. This homecoming does not require a special ceremony or a distant pilgrimage. It can happen right now, and it can be practiced in the most ordinary moments of your day. You can transform any routine activity into a profound meditation simply by bringing your full, gentle attention to it. Imagine, for a moment, the simple act of drinking a glass of water or a warm cup of tea. Instead of doing it automatically, you can choose to be fully present. You can feel the weight and texture of the cup in your hands. You can notice the color of the liquid, the way the light plays on its surface. If it is warm, you can see the gentle wisps of steam rising, a beautiful, impermanent dance. You can bring it to your lips and notice the aroma before you even take a sip. And when you drink, you can truly taste it, feeling the sensation of the liquid in your mouth and the feeling of it nourishing your body. For these 30 seconds, you are not solving any problems or planning the future. You are simply, fully drinking. This is an island of peace you can visit anytime. The same is true for walking. We are always walking to somewhere, to the next meeting, to the car, to the kitchen. What if, just for a few steps, you practiced walking just to walk? Feel the solid ground beneath your feet. Notice the subtle sensation as your heel connects, your weight rolls forward, and your toes lift off. Feel the gentle sway of your arms, the movement of the air on your skin. Each step can be a miracle, a connection between your body and the earth. You can also practice with listening. Not listening in order to formulate a reply, but listening just to hear. Right now, in the quiet of this space, what can you hear? Perhaps there is the low hum of an appliance, the distant sound of a car, or the sound of your own breathing. Can you let these sounds wash over you, without needing to label them as good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant? Just pure sensation, pure sound, received by your awareness. Even the most mundane chores can become a gateway to peace. When you wash the dishes, instead of rushing through it with a mind full of resentment, you can choose to be present. Feel the warmth of the water on your hands. See the iridescent bubbles of the soap. Hear the sound of the water. Feel the smooth surface of the clean plate. In that moment, washing the dishes is the most important thing in the world. There is a deep and satisfying peace in giving your full attention to one simple thing. There is a famous story about a student who approached a great Zen master. The student was earnest and full of questions. "Master," he asked, "what is enlightenment? What is the secret to your profound peace? What do you do that is so different from everyone else?" He expected to hear a long, complicated, philosophical discourse. The master looked at the student with a calm, steady gaze and replied simply, "When I am hungry, I eat. When I am tired, I sleep." The student was confused and a little disappointed. "But master," he protested, "isn't that what everybody does? Everyone eats when they are hungry and sleeps when they are tired." The master smiled gently. "No," he said. "When most people eat, they are not really eating. They are thinking of 1,000 other things. They are worrying about business. They are angry about a past argument. They are planning their next task. Their minds are everywhere but with their food. When most people lie down to sleep, they are not really sleeping. They are wrestling with their anxieties. They are lost in dreams and fantasies. Their bodies are in bed, but their minds are still racing. When I eat, I just eat. My whole being is there, tasting the food, chewing the food, receiving the nourishment. When I sleep, I just sleep. My mind and body rest together. That is all. This is the secret. The beauty of the present moment is not in doing extraordinary things, but in doing ordinary things with extraordinary attention. To be fully where you are is the definition of peace. When you are fully present, you begin to notice the world again, as if seeing it for the first time. You see the incredible, intricate geometry in a simple leaf. You notice the way the dust motes dance in a sunbeam. You see the genuine warmth in a person's smile, a warmth you might have missed if you were lost in thought. The world becomes vibrant. alive, and full of small, overlooked wonders. Life stops being a problem to be solved and becomes a reality to be experienced. This profound stability that we cultivate by anchoring ourselves in the present moment gives us a firm and peaceful ground to stand on. From this secure platform of the now, we can begin to look back at the past, not to get lost in its ghostly realm, but to heal our relationship with it. When we are firmly rooted in the reality of the present, we finally have the strength and the clarity to deal with the burdens we have been carrying from yesterday. We can learn to look at our past actions and decisions, not with the intention of changing them, but with the wisdom to learn from them and the compassion to finally let them go. We can begin to unpack one of the heaviest stones in our backpack, the heavy stone of regret. Standing firmly on the safe and stable ground of the present moment, we now have the strength and the clarity to do some necessary healing work. From this peaceful vantage point, we can look back at the landscape of our past, not to get lost in its ghostly terrain, but to gently release the heavy burdens we have been carrying from it. One of the heaviest and most painful of these burdens is regret. Regret is a form of mental time travel where we are stuck in a loop, endlessly replaying a scene from the past, wishing we had said something different, done something different, chosen a different path. It is like being chained to a ghost that whispers constantly in our ear of our own failures and shortcomings. This chain prevents us from living freely and fully in the only moment that is real. Tonight, with great compassion, we will learn how to gently unlock that chain and set ourselves free. The mind, in its attempt to protect us, can get caught in a painful illusion. It believes that if it replays a mistake over and over, if it punishes us sufficiently with the sting of regret, it can somehow undo what has been done. But the past is like a movie that has already been filmed, edited, and released. We can watch it again and again, but we cannot change a single frame. To sit in the theater of our mind, endlessly shouting at the screen, is a futile and exhausting exercise. Regret is a rocking chair. It gives you something to do. It feels like motion, but it gets you absolutely nowhere. It is a cycle of self-punishment that only serves to create suffering, right here, in the present moment. The past event is over. Its only power to harm you now lies in your own mind's refusal to let it go. It is crucial here to make a distinction between the draining poison of regret and the healthy medicine of remorse. They may seem similar, but they are worlds apart. Regret is being stuck. It is a loop of self-criticism that is focused entirely on the past and on a negative view of yourself. It says, "How could I have been so foolish? I am a bad person." It is passive, it is heavy, and it leads to shame and stagnation. Healthy remorse, on the other hand, is active and forward-looking. It is the clear and calm seeing that a past action caused harm to yourself or to another. It is not about collapsing into a story of being a bad person. It is about taking responsibility. Remorse says, "I see that my action caused pain. I have learned from this. I am committed to acting with more wisdom and kindness in the future." Remorse leads to growth, to apology, to making amends where possible. Regret keeps you a prisoner of the past. Remorse uses the past as a wise teacher to liberate your future. What we are learning to let go of tonight is the toxic, looping, self-punishing habit of regret. Imagine a traveler walking along a beautiful winding path through the mountains. The sun is shining, the air is fresh, and the views are breathtaking. But the traveler is not enjoying the journey. They are hunched over, sweating, their face etched with pain and exhaustion. This is because they are carrying a large, heavy sack on their back. A fellow traveler, walking with a light step and an easy smile, approaches them and asks, "Friend, that sack looks incredibly heavy. What are you carrying that causes you such strain?" The burdened traveler sighs and slides the sack to the ground. With great effort, he opens it, revealing a collection of jagged, heavy stones of all shapes and sizes. "This is my collection of regrets," he explains, his voice full of sorrow. He picks up a large, sharp stone. "This one is the time I betrayed a friend's trust." He picks up a heavy, dark gray stone. "This is the business I was too afraid to start." He points to a handful of small, sharp pebbles. "These are all the unkind words I have spoken without thinking." He knows the painful story connected to every single stone. The wise traveler looks at him with compassion. "Friend," he asks gently, "why do you insist on carrying them? Their weight is preventing you from seeing the beauty of the path that is right in front of you." The burdened traveler looks down at the stones. "I must carry them," he says. "They are my punishment. They remind me of all the ways I have failed." The wise traveler places a hand on his shoulder. "Or," he suggests softly, "perhaps you could simply remember the valuable lessons the stones have taught you and leave their dead weight right here on the side of the road." A look of revelation dawns on the traveler's face. He looks at the stones, then at the beautiful, open path ahead. One by one, he begins to take the stones out of the sack, acknowledging the lesson each one taught him, and then placing it gently on the ground. With each stone he releases, he feels lighter. When the bag is finally empty, he stands up straight for the first time in years. He takes a deep, full breath, feeling the incredible lightness in his body and his spirit. He turns to his companion, his face transformed by a genuine smile, and together they continue down the path, unburdened and free. You too can put down your bag of stones. You can do this by offering yourself a profound gift of compassion. It is the understanding that the person who made those past choices is not the person you are today. That past self acted with the knowledge, the skills, the wisdom, and the emotional resources that they had available to them at that time. You cannot fairly judge the actions of your past self with the wisdom you have gained today, a wisdom you likely gained precisely because of those past experiences. To do so is like scolding a child for not knowing how to read a novel. Forgiving yourself does not mean you are condoning a past action. It means you are releasing your present self from the burden of punishing a person who no longer exists. It is the ultimate act of kindness to the person you are right now. So, as you rest here, you can gently call to mind a regret you have been carrying. You don't need to dive into the drama of the story. Just acknowledge the heavy feeling of it, and you can offer yourself this gentle wisdom. To that past version of yourself, you can say, "You did the best you could with what you knew. I see your struggle. I see your pain. I release you from my judgment. I forgive you." And to your present self, you can say, "I release myself from the need to carry this weight. I choose to learn from the past, but I will not live in it. I choose freedom." Feel the space that opens up inside you as you practice this. The lightness, the peace. By letting go of the heavy stones of the past, you are finally free to walk your path with ease and grace. And as we stand here, feeling this new lightness, we may notice that the mind has another bag it likes to carry. This one is filled not with the heavy stones of yesterday, but with the misty, uncertain phantoms of tomorrow. It is the heavy bag of anxiety. Having gently set down the heavy sack of stones, the burden of past regrets, we now stand lighter, more present, more free. But the mind, in its restlessness, has another bag it loves to carry. This one is not filled with the solid, heavy stones of the past, but with something far more slippery and ethereal. It is filled with the mists and phantoms of tomorrow. It is the bag of what-ifs. This is the realm of anxiety, the other side of the same coin of not living in the present. While regret chains us to a past we cannot change, anxiety launches us into 1,000 possible futures that do not exist. It is a constant, low-grade static in the mind, a hum of fear that drains our vitality and steals the richness and beauty from the only moment we ever truly have. This one, right now. Anxiety can feel so convincing. It masquerades as responsible preparation. It tells us, if I worry about this enough, I can prevent it. If I mentally rehearse every possible negative outcome, I will be ready. But this is a grand illusion. Anxiety is not preparation, it is paralysis. Imagine you are the general of an army. Worrying is like hearing a rumor of a battle and sending your troops to fight on 100 different imaginary battlefields against 100 different phantom armies. Your soldiers, your precious energy and attention are scattered, exhausted, and depleted, fighting battles that are not real. Then, if and when a real challenge does appear on the horizon, your army is too tired to respond effectively. True preparation is not scattering your forces. It is gathering your army, your energy, and your attention right here in the present moment. It is making sure your soldiers are well rested, well fed, and ready. It is being so fully present and aware that you can respond wisely and effectively to whatever actually happens, not to the million things that might happen. The future is not a far-off land that we must journey to. It is woven, thread by thread, out of the quality of this very moment. The only way to prepare for the future is to be fully present now. If you want to have a peaceful future, the most effective strategy is to cultivate peace in your heart right now. If you want to be strong and resilient in the future, the best method is to practice strength and resilience in the small moments of today. Trying to solve tomorrow's problems today is like trying to build the roof of a house when you haven't even laid the foundation. The present moment is the foundation. When you take care of the now, the future takes care of itself. This understanding allows us to distinguish between the healthy, grounded act of planning and the toxic, chaotic habit of worrying. Planning is a calm, present-moment activity. It looks towards the future, identifies a potential need, and asks, what one or two simple things can I do right now to be better prepared? It is concrete and actionable. For example, the weather report says it might rain tomorrow. I will put an umbrella by the door. The action is taken, and the mind is then free to return to the present. Worrying, on the other hand, is a chaotic emotional loop. It is vague and has no endpoint. It asks, what if it rains tomorrow? What if the whole event is ruined? What if everyone is miserable? What if I get sick from the rain? It spins endless stories of catastrophe, leading not to wise action, but only to more anxiety. Planning is a finite task. Worrying is a bottomless pit. When you notice your mind moving into the future, you can gently ask yourself, is this planning or is this worrying? Am I taking a calm, concrete step, or am I lost in a story of fear? This question can help you unhook from the exhausting cycle of anxiety. There is a simple story of a farmer who was given a beautiful, fertile field and a bag of the finest seeds. The time for planting was perfect, but each day, the farmer would go to his field, look at the sky, and worry. I cannot plant today, he would say to himself. What if I sow all these precious seeds, and a great drought comes? They will wither and die, and all my work will be for nothing. The next day, he would return and see dark clouds on the horizon. I cannot plant today, he would think. What if a terrible flood comes and washes all my seeds away? The next week, he would worry about locusts, then blight, then birds. He spent all of his energy and all of his waking hours vividly imagining all the terrible things that could happen. The sun shone, the rains came in their proper time, but the farmer was too lost in the future to see the reality of the present. The planting season came, and it went. His field remained empty and barren. His constant worry about a future disaster had created a present disaster. A failed harvest, born not of drought or flood, but of his own fear. This farmer lives inside all of us. We let the fertile field of the present moment lie fallow because we are so busy worrying about the potential droughts and floods of the future. We fail to do the one thing we actually have the power to do, which is to plant a single, good seed right now. The antidote to this is a profound and gentle trust. It is the trust that the person you will be tomorrow, or next week, or next year, will have the strength, the wisdom, and the resources to handle whatever comes their way at that time. You don't have the resources to handle next year's challenges today, because you don't need them today. We suffer when we demand that our present self solve the problems of our future self. It is an impossible task. To let go of anxiety is to offer a vote of confidence in your future self. It is to say, I trust that I will know what to do when the time comes. For now, my only job is to be here, to be present, to be peaceful. This releases you from the immense burden of needing to control everything, of needing to know every outcome. You can relax. You can let the universe unfold. You can trust the process of life, and you can trust yourself. As you lie here, letting go of the need to plan or solve or figure anything out, you can simply rest in this trust. Trust in your body's ability to breathe. Trust in the surface's ability to support you. Trust that this moment is enough. You have survived every single day of your life so far. You have the resources within you to meet life in all its unpredictability. When we finally truly put down both heavy bags, the bag of stones from the past and the bag of mist from the future, we arrive empty-handed, light and free in the sanctuary of the present moment. And from this place of pure presence, our perception of the world begins to change. We start to see that this moment is not an isolated island in time. We begin to notice the subtle threads that connect us to everything else. We see that we are not a separate, lonely self, but an integral part of a vast, breathing, interconnected web of life. With the heavy baggage of past and future set aside, we find ourselves fully arrived in the sanctuary of the present moment. We are here, now, anchored and at peace. And from this quiet, centered place, our perception begins to shift. The hard, sharp edges of the world begin to soften. The illusion that we are a separate, isolated self, a lonely island in a vast and indifferent ocean, begins to dissolve. As we rest in this stillness, we start to perceive a deeper truth. We begin to see the invisible threads that connect everything, and we awaken to the profound reality that we are not separate from life, but an integral, inseparable part of its vast, magnificent, and interconnected web. This understanding is not something to be grasped with the intellect alone, but something to be felt, to be experienced directly. Let us try a simple contemplation. Imagine in your mind's eye a single sheet of plain white paper. It seems simple, separate, a thing in itself. But let us look more deeply. Where did this paper come from? It came from a tree. So, the tree is in the paper. But a tree cannot grow without water. And the water comes from the rain. And the rain comes from the clouds. So, the cloud is here in this sheet of paper. If you take the cloud out, the paper cannot exist, and the tree cannot grow without the sun. The brilliant, life-giving light of the sun, millions of miles away, is also right here in this paper. Take away the sunshine, and the paper vanishes. And what about the logger who cut down the tree? The logger is in the paper. His need for food, his parents who raised him, the wheat in the field that became his bread, all of these things are also present in this simple sheet of paper. And the person who drove the truck, the person who worked in the paper mill, the shopkeeper who sold it, their lives, their dreams, their breakfast this morning, are all subtly present. The entire economy, the whole of human history and invention, had to exist for this simple piece of paper to be here in your mind. The paper, you see, is empty of a separate self. It is made entirely of non-paper elements. It has no independent existence. It is with everything else in the cosmos. Now, turn this gaze of deep looking upon yourself. You, too, are empty of a separate self. Look at your body. It is made of the food you have eaten. The food came from the earth, the sun, the rain. So the earth and sun and rain are in your body. Your thoughts and ideas came from your parents, your teachers, your friends, the books you have read, the culture you live in. All of these people and influences are present in your mind right now. The very air you are breathing connects you to the trees and the oceans and every other being that shares this atmosphere. You cannot exist for even a moment by yourself. For yourself. You are with the entire universe. There is no hard line where you end and the world begins. You are a wave in the great ocean of being, distinct, yet inseparable from the water. There is a beautiful ancient image from Buddhist cosmology that helps to illustrate this profound truth. It is the image of Indra's net. Imagine a vast infinite web, stretching out in all directions, forever. At every single point where the threads of the web cross, there hangs a single, multifaceted, glittering jewel. Each jewel is perfectly clear and reflects all the other jewels in the net. And not only that, but each reflection in each jewel also contains the reflections of all the other jewels, and so on, into infinity. If you look at any one jewel, you see the entire net. The whole is present in every part, and every part is present in the whole. You are one of these jewels. Within your own being, if you look deeply enough, the entire cosmos is reflected. And your own life, your own light, is reflected in every other being. This is the nature of our reality. We are all deeply, irrevocably, and beautifully connected. The idea that we can act in isolation is an illusion. Every thought we think, every word we speak, Every action we take is like a tremor that vibrates through the entire net. When we cultivate peace in our own heart, we are polishing our own jewel. And as our jewel shines a little brighter, its light is reflected in all the others, and the entire net becomes more luminous. When we speak a word of kindness to another person, that kindness does not stop there. It ripples outwards, touching countless other beings in ways we can never fully know. The peace you are cultivating right now, in the quiet of this room, is not just for you. It is a gift to the entire world. It is a balm that helps to soothe the whole web. This understanding naturally and effortlessly transforms our relationship with life. The narrow, fearful question of what is in it for me begins to fade away, replaced by the open, expansive question of what is best for the whole, because we see that the two are inseparable. Our own happiness is not separate from the happiness of others. Our well-being is tied to the well-being of the planet that sustains us. This is the deepest root of true compassion and responsibility. When we see another person suffering, we no longer see a stranger or another. We see another jewel in the net. We see a reflection of ourselves. And the natural response of the heart is to wish for that suffering to cease. When we see cruelty or injustice, we feel it as a wound in the fabric of our own larger being. To live with this understanding is to move through the world with a sense of reverence and care. We see that there are no ordinary moments and no insignificant actions. Everything matters. The way we speak to the person at the checkout counter, the way we dispose of our trash, the way we care for the plants and animals in our environment all are expressions of our awareness of this interconnected reality. We are not just living on the earth, we are the earth. We are not just living in the universe, we are the universe experiencing itself. As you rest in this profound sense of unity, let the feeling of separation dissolve. Feel yourself as part of this vast, breathing, intelligent web of life. Feel your connection to the people sleeping in the houses next to yours, to the trees outside your window, to the stars scattered across the night sky. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are an integral part of a magnificent cosmic dance. And when we truly feel this deep connection, the concepts of giving and receiving begin to merge into one. To give to another is simply to give to another part of yourself. To offer a gift to the world is to nourish your own larger body. Generosity ceases to be a moral duty and becomes a joyful, spontaneous expression of your true, interconnected nature. As we rest in the felt sense of our own being as a jewel in the vast, interconnected web of life, we begin to understand that nothing truly exists in isolation. The web is not static. It is a dynamic field of energy, constantly flowing, constantly exchanging. A healthy web is one where energy, light, and nourishment flow freely from jewel to jewel, creating a vibrant and luminous whole. The practice of generosity, known in the Buddhist tradition as dana, is the joyful participation in this natural flow. It is the conscious choice to be a source of nourishment and light in the web, and in doing so, we discover one of the most profound and reliable sources of happiness available to us. For many of us, the instinct is not to give, but to grasp. The separate self, the ego, lives in a perpetual fear of lack. It believes that resources are scarce and that its primary job is to accumulate and hoard in order to protect itself. It operates from a poverty mindset. This mindset creates a life posture that is like a tightly clenched fist. A closed fist can hold on to what it has, but it is a state of tension, of struggle, and of defense. And most importantly, a closed fist cannot receive anything new. To live with this grasping mind is to be fundamentally at odds with the generous, flowing nature of life itself. We become like a stagnant pond, holding on to our water, which eventually becomes stale and lifeless, while the great river of life rushes past us. The act of giving is the antidote to this fear. It is the practice of gently unclenching that fist. With every act of generosity, no matter how small, we are challenging the ego's story of separation and lack. We are affirming a deeper truth, that we are part of a rich and abundant flow, and that true security lies not in hoarding, but in participating. When you give something freely, without expecting anything in return, you are making a powerful statement. You are saying, I have enough. I am enough. There is enough. This sends a message of abundance and trust that ripples through your own nervous system and out into the web. It is a direct and practical way to experience the reality of interconnectedness. The true joy of giving is not found in the response of the receiver. It is not in being thanked or praised. While that can be pleasant, the deepest happiness lies in the pure, unselfish intention in your own heart at the moment of giving. It is a warm, expansive feeling that arises from the simple act of contributing to the well-being of another. Think of the sun. The sun does not shine in order to receive thanks from the flowers. It does not withhold its light from those it deems unworthy. It simply shines because that is its nature. To give from a place of pure intention is to become like the sun. It is to align yourself with the selfless, life-giving energy of the universe itself. This is a joy that no one can take from you, for it is generated entirely from within. Giving that expects something in return is not generosity. It is a transaction, a form of commerce. True dana is a release. It is the joy of letting go, of opening the hand and allowing the energy to flow through you, not from you. The beautiful truth is that we all have infinite gifts to offer, regardless of our material circumstances. The most precious gifts are often not material at all. In our busy, distracted world, one of the most profound gifts you can offer another human being is the gift of your full attention, the gift of deep listening, to listen to someone without interrupting, without planning your response, without judging, but with the sole intention of understanding their heart. This is a rare and healing offering. It makes the other person feel seen, valued, and safe. It is a gift of pure presence. You can also offer the gift of kindness, a genuine smile offered to a stranger on the street, a word of encouragement to someone who is struggling, a sincere compliment offered to a colleague. These may seem like small things, but they are potent seeds of light. You never know what battles another person is fighting, and your small act of kindness may be the one ray of sunshine that breaks through their clouds that day. You can also offer the gift of forgiveness, which is a form of generosity directed both outward and inward. When you forgive someone, you are releasing them from the debt you believe they owe you. But more importantly, you are releasing yourself from the heavy, poisonous burden of carrying resentment. It is a profound gift of freedom to your own heart. The Buddha said that the highest gift of all is the gift of fearlessness. This is the gift we give when we ourselves are so grounded in peace and non-violence that others feel safe in our presence. When we speak and act with mindfulness and compassion, we are contributing to an atmosphere of safety around us, helping to quiet the fear in the hearts of others. This is a gift we offer not through a single act, but by the very quality of our being. There is a timeless story that illustrates the true nature of giving. One day, many wealthy merchants came to the temple to make offerings. They made a great show of their piety, dropping large bags of gold and silver coins into the donation chest with a loud clang, ensuring that everyone noticed their great generosity. Later that day, a poor, elderly woman came to the temple. Her clothes were worn, and her face was etched with the hardships of her life. She approached the chest timidly and, from a small fold in her robe, she took out 2 tiny copper coins. They were worth almost nothing. They were also everything she had. With a heart full of sincere devotion, she quietly dropped the 2 small coins into the great chest. The Buddha, who was observing, gathered his students and said to them, "Of all the donations made today, the offering from that poor woman was the greatest." His students were confused. "But Master," they said, "the merchants gave fortunes in gold. Her 2 small coins are worth nothing in comparison." The Buddha replied, "The merchants gave from their surplus, from what was easy for them to give. It did not touch their hearts. This woman gave her all. She gave from a place of pure heart and deep sincerity." In the eyes of the universe, a gift is not measured by its size, but by the love with which it is given. This story teaches us that it is the quality of our heart that matters most. A small gift given with great love is more powerful than a large gift given for show. As you rest here, you can reflect on the gifts you have to offer. The gift of your kind thoughts, your patience, your understanding. You can generate a feeling of generosity in your heart, a simple willingness to contribute to the well-being of the world in whatever small ways you can. This generous spirit, this open-handed approach to life, is a powerful medicine. It softens our edges and prepares our hearts for deeper connection. When we approach others not with a desire to get something, but with a gentle wish to give our attention, our kindness, our understanding, we create the fertile ground upon which even our most challenging relationships can be healed and transformed. Resting in the warm, open field of a generous heart, we see that the greatest field for our practice is often in our relationships with others. It is here, in our interactions with partners, family, friends, and colleagues, that our deepest joys and our most profound sorrows arise. Our relationships are the mirror in which our own mind is most clearly reflected. They show us where we are still caught, where we are still closed, and where we have the greatest opportunity to grow in wisdom and love. Healing our relationships is not about changing the other person. It is an inner practice of bringing our own mindfulness, our own compassion, and our own clarity into our connections. And in doing so, we can transform the entire dynamic from one of conflict to one of mutual understanding and peace. One of the most radical and healing gifts we can offer another human being is the gift of deep listening. In our culture, we rarely listen. We are usually just waiting for our turn to speak. We listen through a filter of our own opinions, our own experiences, and our own judgments. We are busy formulating our rebuttal, our advice, or our counter-argument. We hear the words, but we miss the person. Deep listening is the opposite of this. It is a form of meditation where the other person is the object of our full, undivided attention. Our only goal is to listen to understand, not to listen to reply. It is the practice of setting aside our own story for a few moments in order to create a safe, empty space where another's story can be fully heard. This kind of listening is a profound act of love. You listen not only to the words being spoken, but to the feelings beneath the words. You listen for what is not being said. You listen for the other person's pain, their hopes, their fears. You become a calm, clear lake, perfectly reflecting the sky of their experience without judgment. Imagine how it would feel to be listened to in this way, to be given the full, unconditional presence of another person. It is a gift that can dissolve defensiveness and open the door to true connection. You can practice this in your own life. The next time you are speaking with someone you care about, try to listen with 100% of your being. When they speak, just receive. Notice the urge to interrupt or plan your response and gently let it go. Simply listen. This simple shift can begin to mend even the most strained connections. The other side of this practice is loving speech. Just as we can receive with our full attention, we can also learn to speak with mindful intention. This is not about being artificially nice or avoiding difficult topics. It is about communicating our truth, but always with an underlying foundation of care and compassion. Before you speak, especially in a difficult conversation, you can use a simple mental checklist. First, is it true? We commit to speaking honestly and avoiding exaggeration or deception. Second, is it kind? Even a difficult truth can be spoken with a gentle tone, without the intention to wound or punish. We can speak about our own feelings without attacking the other person. Third, is it helpful or necessary? We can ask ourselves if our words are intended to build a bridge or to build a wall, to heal or to harm. And finally, is this the right time and place? A difficult conversation is best had in a quiet, private space where both people feel safe. Our words are like seeds. With every sentence, we are planting seeds in our own consciousness and in the consciousness of the other person. We can plant seeds of anger, blame, and separation, which will grow into a thorny garden of resentment. Or we can choose to plant seeds of understanding, forgiveness, and connection, which will blossom into a garden of peace. Loving speech is the conscious, moment-to-moment practice of planting seeds of peace, for our own benefit and for the benefit of all our relationships. At the heart of both deep listening and loving speech is the practice of looking for the suffering in the other person. When someone acts in a way that is hurtful, when they are critical, defensive, or angry, it is almost always a sign of their own inner pain. As we learned earlier, their crying baby is acting out. A person who is truly happy and at peace does not have the need to cause pain to others. When we can remember this, it changes everything. We can train ourselves to look past the hurtful behavior and see the wounded person behind it. We can ask ourselves, what fear is driving them? What past hurt is being triggered? What suffering are they trying to express? This does not mean we excuse or tolerate harmful behavior. We can still set clear boundaries, but it means we stop taking it so personally. We realize that the attack is not really about us. It is a manifestation of their suffering. This depersonalizes the conflict and allows us to respond with a degree of wisdom and compassion, rather than simply reacting with our own woundedness. It allows us to become part of the solution, instead of just another part of the problem. There is a story about a couple who learned a practice from a meditation teacher to help them heal their relationship. They designated one evening a week as their peace night. On this evening, they would sit down together, and for 1 hour, they would practice healing their connection. The rules were simple. For the first 20 minutes, one partner could speak without any interruption about any hurts, frustrations, or disappointments they had experienced during the week. They were encouraged to use I statements, such as "I felt hurt when you said." The other partner's only job was to practice deep listening, to try and understand the world from their partner's point of view, without defending themselves. Then, they would switch roles for the next 20 minutes. In the final 20 minutes, they would practice taking responsibility. This was not about assigning blame, but about each person looking honestly at their own contribution to the difficulty. One might say, "I see that my tone of voice was harsh, and I regret that it caused you pain." The other might say, "I realize I was not truly listening to you, and I am sorry." This simple, structured ritual prevented small resentments from building up into great walls. It created a safe and sacred container where both people could be vulnerable, feel heard, and practice forgiveness, week after week. It transformed their relationship from a battlefield into a shared path of healing. You can bring a taste of this into your own life. It is the commitment to listen more deeply, to speak more kindly, and to look for the suffering behind the difficult actions of others. It is the courage to look at your own part in any conflict and to take responsibility for your own seeds of speech and action. This profound work of mending our connections with others, however, is fueled by our own inner resources. Our ability to be a calm, healing presence for another person is directly related to our ability to find a calm, healing presence within ourselves. To create a space of peace for others, we must first discover the source of that peace within our own being. We must learn to find the deep, nourishing silence that lies beneath all the noise of the world and of our own minds. To offer the gift of our presence to others, to listen deeply, and to speak with love, we must draw from a deep, inner wellspring of peace. If our own inner world is a chaotic storm, we have little calm to offer another. And so, our journey now turns inward, to discover a sanctuary that exists within each of us, a place of profound stillness that is untouched by the noise of the world and the chatter of our own minds. We live in a world that is saturated with noise. From the moment we wake to the moment we sleep, we are bombarded with sounds, information, notifications, opinions, and demands. Our minds, too, are noisy, filled with the constant commentary of our inner judge, the worries about the future, and the echoes of the past. It is natural to believe that peace can only be found by escaping all of this, by retreating to a remote mountaintop or a silent monastery. But this is a fleeting solution. True, unshakable peace is not found by changing our external environment, but by discovering an inner quality of silence that is always available, no matter what is happening around us. Imagine that your being is a large, beautiful house. The front rooms of the house are busy and noisy. This is where the daily activities happen. The television is on, people are coming and going, conversations are happening. The phone is ringing. This is the surface level of our mind, our ordinary waking consciousness. We can spend our entire lives in these busy front rooms, believing that this noise is the entirety of our home. But deep in the center of the house, there is another room. It is a quiet, peaceful sanctuary. The walls are thick, and the noise from the front of the house barely penetrates. This room is always there, waiting for you. It is the deep, silent core of your being. It is not something you need to build. You only need to discover the doorway to it. The practice of meditation is the art of learning to walk out of the noisy front rooms and find your way back to this inner sanctuary of silence. How do we find this door? We begin by changing our relationship with sound itself. Usually, we are selective listeners. We cling to sounds we find pleasant and resist sounds we find unpleasant. This constant filtering and judging creates tension. The practice of mindful listening invites us to do something different. For a moment, just open your awareness to the full soundscape of your present environment. Let go of the labels of good or bad. Let go of the desire for things to be quieter. Simply allow all sounds to be as they are. Perhaps you can hear the hum of electricity, the sound of your own breath, a distant car, the creak of a floorboard. Receive these sounds as pure sensory information, as vibrations in the air. Allow your ears to be like wide-open microphones, recording everything without preference. Now, we will take the practice one step deeper. Instead of listening only to the sounds, begin to listen for the silence in which the sounds are happening. Become aware of the vast, quiet background that holds all the noise. It is like looking at a painting. We usually only see the objects and colors that have been painted on the canvas. But what about the canvas itself? Without the empty canvas, there could be no painting. That canvas is the silence. It is always present, holding everything. The sounds are temporary visitors, but the silence is the home. You can also notice the small gaps of silence. The tiny pause at the end of an exhalation before the next inhalation begins. The space between two thoughts. The brief moment of quiet after a loud sound has faded away. These are all small doorways. By resting your attention in these moments of quiet, you are training your mind to recognize and value the silence that is always here. You are finding the path back to the quiet room at the center of your house. There is a wonderful story about a king who wished to have a painting that perfectly depicted peace. He offered a great prize, and artists from all over the land submitted their work. There were many beautiful paintings of serene landscapes. One of the finalists was a picture of a perfectly calm, mirror-still lake, reflecting a majestic, snow-capped mountain under a brilliant blue sky. It was the very image of tranquility, and everyone who saw it thought it would surely be the winner. The other finalist was a shock to everyone. It depicted a huge, roaring waterfall, crashing down a rugged cliff face with tremendous power. A stormy sky with dark clouds and flashes of lightning loomed overhead. It seemed to be the very picture of chaos and turmoil. The king studied both paintings carefully. To the surprise of all his courtiers, he chose the second painting. "But Your Majesty," they asked, "how can this be a picture of peace? It is so loud and violent." The king beckoned them closer. "Look," he said, pointing to a tiny detail in the painting. There, behind the thundering curtain of water, nestled in a small crevice in the rock, was a small bush. And in that bush, a mother bird had built her nest. She was sitting calmly and contentedly on her eggs, safe and sheltered, in the very heart of the roaring chaos. "That," said the king, "is true peace. Peace is not a place where there is no noise, no trouble, or no hard work. Peace is to be in the midst of all those things and still be calm in your heart." That nest behind the waterfall is the inner silence we are cultivating. It is a place of refuge that is not dependent on the world outside being quiet or orderly. From this place of deep inner stillness, our experience of life begins to transform. When the constant noise of the ego, the judging, the worrying, the planning begins to quiet down, we can finally start to hear a much subtler and more profound voice. This is the voice of our intuition, the voice of our own innate wisdom. This wisdom does not shout, it whispers. It does not speak in complex arguments, but in quiet feelings, in deep knowings, in sudden, clear insights. It is a form of intelligence that is deeper than the rational mind, a wisdom that arises not from accumulating more information, but from becoming more empty, more still, more receptive. In the deep silence of the heart, we find the guidance we have been seeking. And so, our journey takes us now to explore this profound difference between the knowledge we collect with our busy minds and the wisdom that unfolds from the quiet of our being. From the deep and nourishing sanctuary of inner silence, a new way of perceiving the world begins to emerge. When the clamor of the thinking mind subsides, we are able to hear the subtle whispers of our own intuition. our own inner knowing. This marks a pivotal shift in our journey, a movement from the realm of knowledge to the realm of wisdom. In our culture, we are trained to value knowledge above all else. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts, figures, theories, and concepts. It is the product of our rational thinking mind. It is powerful and useful for navigating the practical world. But it has its limits. Wisdom, or what in the Buddhist tradition is called prajna, is something entirely different. It is not an accumulation, but an uncovering. It is a direct, intuitive, and embodied understanding of reality that arises not from thinking more, but from learning to see clearly, without the filters of our preconceived ideas. Imagine you want to learn about a foreign country. You can go to a library and read every book ever written about it. You can study its maps, memorize its history, learn its language, and look at thousands of photographs of its landscapes. You will accumulate a vast amount of knowledge. You will be able to speak about the country with great authority, but you will not truly know it. You will not know the smell of its air after a rainfall, the taste of its food, the warmth of its people, the feeling of its sun on your skin. Knowledge is the map. Wisdom is the territory itself. You can have the most detailed and accurate map in the world, but it is not the same as walking the path, feeling the earth beneath your feet, and experiencing the journey for yourself. In the same way, you can read every spiritual book ever written. You can understand all the philosophies of meditation, but until you sit down and experience the nature of your own mind directly, it remains just a collection of beautiful ideas. Knowledge is second-hand information. Wisdom is first-hand experience. The path of wisdom, therefore, is not about adding more to our minds. It is, in many ways, a path of subtraction, a path of letting go. We let go of our assumptions, our certainties, and our rigid beliefs in order to see what is actually here. We let go of the need to filter every experience through our conceptual mind, and instead allow ourselves to meet life directly, in its raw, unfiltered state. This is what we have been practicing all along. When we watch the breath, we are not thinking about the breath, we are feeling the breath. When we sit with an emotion, we are not analyzing the emotion, we are experiencing its energy directly in our body. This is the path of wisdom. It is a shift from the head to the heart and to the whole body. It is learning to trust the intelligence of our direct, lived experience. There is a famous Zen metaphor that speaks to this perfectly. A master is trying to show his student the full moon, a symbol of enlightenment or ultimate truth. The master raises his hand and points his finger towards the luminous orb in the night sky. "Look," he says, "the moon." The student, being very eager and diligent, focuses all of his attention on the master's finger. He studies its shape, its angle, the lines on the knuckles. He thinks, the finger is the teaching. I must understand the finger completely. The master waits for a long time. Finally, he sighs and says to the student, "My finger is not the moon. I am only using it to point the way. If you keep staring at my finger, you will never see the beauty of the moon for yourself." These words we are sharing now. All the stories, the concepts, the techniques, they are all just fingers pointing at the moon. The idea of the monkey mind, the image of Indra's net, the story of the two coins, they are pointers. They are maps. They are useful only if they encourage you to look for yourself, to have your own direct experience of your own mind and your own heart. The goal is not to become an expert on the teachings, but to use the teachings to become an expert on yourself. The ultimate truth cannot be found in any book or in any person's words. It can only be discovered in the vast silent laboratory of your own awareness. To mistake the words for the truth is to spend your life studying the finger, and to miss the moon entirely. This shift from knowledge to wisdom invites us into a state of profound relaxation. The mind that is obsessed with knowledge is always tense. It feels a constant pressure to know everything, to have an opinion, to be certain, to have it all figured out. It lives in fear of the unknown. The wise mind, however, is comfortable with mystery. It has the courage and the humility to rest in "I don't know." It understands that life is too vast, too complex, and too magical to be neatly packaged into our small human concepts. To embrace mystery is to let go of the immense burden of having to be right, of having to be the expert. It allows our mind to be less like a fortified castle, defending its storehouse of facts, and more like an open field, receptive to the sunlight, the rain, and the seeds of new possibilities. So, as you rest here, you can let go of the need to figure anything out. You can give your analytical mind a well-deserved vacation. You are not trying to learn something new. You are simply being present with what is, allowing a deeper, more intuitive knowing to arise in its own time. You can begin to trust your own experience. The feeling of the breath in your body is true. The sensation of warmth or coolness is true. The rising and falling of emotions is a truth you can witness directly. You are the ultimate authority on your own inner world. By becoming your own scientist, your own explorer, you cultivate a deep sense of self-reliance and inner confidence that no external authority can give you or take away from you. As we learn to trust this direct way of seeing, looking beyond our concepts and labels, we begin to notice something profound about the nature of reality. We see that the things we once thought were so solid and permanent are actually fluid, changing, and not at all what they seem. Our thoughts, our emotions, our very sense of self, when we look for them, we cannot find a solid entity. This direct perception, this wisdom, leads us to one of the most liberating and profound insights of all contemplative traditions. It is the insight into what is called emptiness. And this is not the cold, nihilistic void we might fear, but a warm, vibrant, and spacious reality that is the very source of all creative potential. It is the wisdom of the empty cup. Resting in the quiet space of your own being, you have learned to trust a deeper way of knowing, a wisdom that arises not from the busy mind, but from direct, silent observation. As we continue to look with this clear and gentle awareness, we come to one of the most profound and liberating insights of the spiritual path. It is an insight that can be startling at first, but when truly understood, it is the key to ultimate freedom. This is the wisdom of what is called emptiness. Now, this word can be frightening. It can conjure images of a cold, dark void, of nothingness, of a denial of life. But in the context of this deep wisdom, emptiness means something entirely different. It does not mean non-existence. It means empty of a separate, solid, independent self. It is the realization that nothing exists on its own. And this truth, far from being a cause for despair, is the very source of all of life's beauty, freedom, and potential. Let us explore this with a simple object. Think of a cup. What makes a cup useful? What is its essential quality? It is the emptiness inside. It is the space within that allows it to hold water, or tea, or anything else. A cup that was a solid block of clay, with no empty space, would be useless as a cup. Its entire function, its very cupness, arises from its emptiness. The same is true for a room. A room is useful not because of its walls, but because of the empty space between the walls. The space that allows us to live, to move, and to breathe. The walls define the space, but the emptiness is what makes it a home. Now, apply this same principle to your own mind. We spend so much of our lives filling our minds. Just as we might fill a cup, we fill it with facts, with opinions, with beliefs, with judgments, with memories, and with a rigid story of who we think we are. A mind that is completely full, that is certain of everything, that has no room for new ideas or different perspectives, is like that solid block of clay. It is brittle, it is closed, and it cannot learn or grow. An empty mind, in the wise sense of the word, is a mind that is open, spacious, and receptive. It is a mind that is not cluttered with the heavy furniture of its own certainties. This emptiness is not a lack, it is pure potential. The empty canvas can receive any painting. The silent instrument can play any music. The empty mind can respond to life with freshness, creativity, and boundless intelligence. There is a well-known Zen story that illustrates this principle perfectly. A highly educated university professor, a man renowned for his vast knowledge of philosophy, came to visit a simple, old Zen master to ask him about the nature of Zen. The professor, from the moment he arrived, began to talk. He spoke at length about his own theories. He quoted ancient texts. He explained the various schools of thought. and he paraded his intellectual understanding. He was not there to learn, but to show how much he already knew. The Zen master listened patiently, nodding quietly. After some time, he said, "It must be a long journey. Let us have some tea." He brought out a simple tea set. He placed a cup in front of the learned professor and began to pour. He filled the cup to the brim, but then, to the professor's surprise, he did not stop. He continued to pour the tea, and it overflowed, spilling out onto the saucer, running over the table, and dripping onto the floor. The professor, aghast, finally shouted, "Stop! What are you doing? The cup is already full. It cannot hold another drop." The Zen master stopped pouring and looked calmly at the professor. "Like this cup," he said softly, "you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you anything about Zen unless you first empty your cup?" This story invites us to look at our own cup. What are we so full of? What rigid beliefs about ourselves and the world are we clinging to so tightly that we leave no room for life's magic and mystery to enter? Perhaps we are full of the idea that I am an anxious person, or I am not good at relationships, or I am a failure. We hold these ideas as solid, permanent truths about ourselves. The wisdom of emptiness reveals that these are just thoughts, just stories. They are not you. Because you are empty of a fixed, unchanging self, you are not bound by these definitions. The identity of anxious person is not a life sentence carved in stone. It is a temporary weather pattern passing through the vast open sky of your being. You are not the label. You are the space in which the label appears. This is the most liberating news in the world. It means you are not trapped. You are not defined by your past. You are not a finished product. At your core, you are pure potential. You have the freedom to change, to grow, to heal, and to transform in every moment, precisely because you are not a solid something. You are an open, unfolding process. To realize your own emptiness is to realize your own absolute freedom. This emptiness is also the source of our profound connection. As we saw with the sheet of paper, nothing has a separate self. Everything is made of everything else. Because we are all empty of a separate identity. We are all part of one seamless, flowing reality. The boundaries we create with our minds are just illusions. Emptiness is another word for this total, intimate, and unbreakable interconnectedness. It is the realization that the universe is not a collection of separate things, but one single, magnificent, and indivisible whole. As you rest in this understanding, allow the striving to cease. Let go of the project of trying to become someone. A better person, a more spiritual person, a more peaceful person. You are already that which you seek. The peace, the freedom, the spaciousness is not something you must acquire. It is your fundamental nature, which is revealed when you let go of all the concepts and stories you have piled on top of it. You don't have to fill your cup with peace. You simply have to empty it of the clutter of anxiety, judgment, and fear, and the peace that is already there will be revealed. This is not a state to be achieved only in meditation, on a retreat, or in a quiet room. The ultimate practice is to learn how to carry this empty cup, this open and spacious mind, into the midst of your daily life, so that you can receive each moment, each person, each experience, with freshness, wonder, and grace. Having arrived at the wisdom of the empty cup, the understanding that we are not a fixed, solid self but an open, spacious field of potential, a new question arises. What do we do with this freedom? What do we do with this empty cup? The answer is simple and profound. We carry it with us into our lives. We do not place it on a high shelf to be admired only during our meditation time. We use it to receive the world. The goal of this entire journey is not to become a good meditator. It is to become an awakened human being. The cushion, the quiet room, these are just the training ground. The real practice, the real meditation, is life itself. For many of us, there is a sharp division between our spiritual practice and our real life. We might spend 20 minutes on a cushion feeling peaceful and centered, only to stand up and immediately be swept away by the currents of stress, irritation, and distraction. It is like going to the gym to build up our muscles, and then forgetting to use that strength for the rest of the day. The true path is one of integration, of dissolving the artificial wall between our practice and our life until they become one and the same. It is the path of finding our zen in the midst of traffic, our peace while washing the dishes, and our compassion during a difficult conversation. It is learning to live every moment with the same quality of gentle, non-judgmental awareness that we cultivate in the quiet. This means that every corner of our lives becomes part of our meditation hall. Your office can be your monastery. Your kitchen can be your sanctuary. Your relationships can be your greatest teachers. When you are drinking your morning coffee, you can truly be there, feeling the warmth of the mug, smelling the rich aroma, savoring the taste. This is coffee meditation. When you are walking from your car to your office, you can feel the sensation of your feet on the pavement, the feeling of the air on your skin. This is walking meditation. When you are listening to your child tell you about their day, you can offer them the gift of your full, undivided presence without checking your phone or thinking about your to-do list. This is listening meditation. There are no moments that are unworthy of our full attention. There are no activities that are unspiritual. It is the quality of our awareness, not the nature of the activity, that makes something a practice. By bringing this mindful presence to the small, ordinary moments, we infuse our entire lives with a sense of sacredness and peace. We stop waiting for the weekend, for vacation, for retirement, to finally feel calm and happy. We discover that the peace we seek is available right here, in the heart of our ordinary, everyday existence. There is a classic Zen story about a young monk who was very bright and had studied all the complex philosophical texts, but he could not find the inner peace he was looking for. He struggled in his formal meditation and felt like a failure. His master, seeing his intellectual frustration, relieved him of his scholarly duties and gave him a new job. He was to be the monastery's groundskeeper, and his primary task was simply to sweep the temple courtyards and gardens each day. The young monk was initially disappointed, feeling this was a menial task beneath his abilities. But, having no other choice, he dedicated himself to it. Day after day, his only practice was sweeping. At first, his mind was still full of turmoil, but gradually, the simple, rhythmic motion of the broom began to quiet him. He started to pay attention. He felt the coarse texture of the straw broom in his hands. He listened to the gentle shh sound of the bristles against the stone pathways. He watched the way the wind made patterns with the leaves he was trying to gather. His world, which had been filled with abstract concepts and striving, became very simple, very real, very present. His mind, once a storm of thoughts, became as clear and calm as the swept courtyard. One autumn morning, as he was sweeping near a grove of bamboo, his broom flicked a small pebble. The pebble flew through the air and struck a stalk of bamboo with a sharp, clear talk. In that instant, hearing that pure sound in his utterly still and present mind, the monk awakened. The division between himself and the world dissolved. He understood everything his books had been pointing to, not as a concept, but as a living reality. This story teaches us that enlightenment is not found by escaping our life, but by entering it so completely that we become one with it. Our sweeping might be drafting a report, changing a diaper, or coding a piece of software. The opportunity for awakening is hidden in plain sight, in the very fabric of our daily tasks, if we are willing to show up with our full presence. To live this way is to live with a new kind of grace. This does not mean that life becomes easy or that we will no longer experience suffering. The rains will still come, the winds will still blow. You will still feel anger, sadness, and fear. The goal of this practice is not to create a life that is free from all difficulty. The goal is to cultivate an inner peace so deep and so stable that you can meet the difficulties of life with a steady heart and a wise smile. It is the smile of the mother bird, resting peacefully in her nest behind the roaring waterfall. The waterfall is still roaring, but she is safe, she is calm, she is home. You learn to walk gently with your suffering, to hold it with compassion, but not to be defined by it. You see it as part of the rich, complex, and beautiful tapestry of a life fully lived. This entire journey from seeing our busy minds to finding our calm center, from healing our past to embracing our interconnectedness, from opening our hearts in compassion to finding the sacred in the ordinary, is a journey of discovering a light within ourselves. It is a process of becoming a source of warmth and clarity in a world that can often feel cold and confusing. But this light we have worked so diligently to uncover is not meant to be kept hidden under a bushel. The final and most generous step of the path is to recognize that this inner light is our greatest gift, not just to ourselves, but to all beings. It is the practice of becoming a light unto yourself, and in doing so, becoming a beacon for the world. As we walk this path of integrated practice, finding our meditation in every step, in every breath, in every interaction, we begin to uncover a source of profound strength and clarity within us. It is like discovering a hidden spring deep in the earth, a spring of pure, clear water that never runs dry. This is the spring of our own innate wisdom, our own inner light. The entire journey we have taken together, through all the landscapes of the mind and heart, has been leading us to this one crucial recognition that the peace, the freedom, and the truth we seek are not found in any external source, but are waiting to be discovered within the depths of our own being. This is the final and most empowering step of the path, learning to be your own light. In our search for happiness and an end to suffering, it is so easy to look outside of ourselves. We look to teachers, to gurus, to books, to philosophies, and to religions to give us the answers. We hope that someone else will have the secret, the magic key that will unlock our own inner peace. These external guides can be immensely helpful. They can be the finger pointing at the moon. They can offer us maps of the territory and encouragement for the journey. But sooner or later, we must realize that no one can walk the path for us. No one can see with our eyes or feel with our heart. The map is not the territory. The final authority on your own life, your own mind, your own truth must be you. To be your own light is to take back your power from all external authorities and to place your trust in the wisdom of your own direct experience. It is the courageous act of standing on your own 2 feet, spiritually speaking. It means that while you can learn from the wisdom of others, you test all teachings against the truth of your own experience. Does this practice bring more peace into your life? Does this way of seeing lead to more compassion? Does this path feel true in the quietest moments of your own heart? You become your own guide. You learn to listen to the subtle voice of your own intuition, that quiet knowing that resides beneath the noise of the thinking mind. This path is not about perfectly imitating the life of a great master from the past. It is about discovering how to be the most authentic, awake, and compassionate version of yourself, right here, in the unique circumstances of your own life. It is about walking your own path with courage, integrity, and a deep and abiding kindness towards yourself. This very teaching lies at the heart of the Buddha's own message. The story is told of his final days. He was old, frail, and approaching the end of his long life. His disciples were gathered around him, and his most faithful attendant, Ananda, was weeping bitterly. For 45 years, Ananda had been by the Buddha's side, and he could not imagine a world without his teacher. "Master," he cried, "the Blessed One is leaving us. When you are gone, who will be our teacher? The world will be dark. Who will be our light?" The Buddha, with his last reserves of strength, looked upon his grieving friend with immense love and compassion, and spoke the words that have echoed through centuries, words that represent his most essential and empowering legacy. "Ananda," he said, "do not grieve. My teachings are not meant to create dependence on me. Therefore, Ananda, be a lamp unto yourselves, be a refuge to yourselves. Seek no other refuge. Let the truth be your lamp and your refuge. Seek no other refuge." He went on to explain that the truth, or the Dharma he was speaking of, was not a doctrine to be believed, but the reality that could be seen directly through mindfulness. The truth of impermanence, the truth of the breath, the truth of the interconnectedness of all things, the truth of compassion. He was telling them that their own mindful awareness, their own capacity to see reality clearly for themselves, was the only true lamp and the only real refuge they would ever need. This final teaching was not just for Ananda, it is for every one of us. It is a declaration of our own spiritual sovereignty, the capacity for awakening, for profound peace, for boundless compassion, what is sometimes called our Buddha natures, not the exclusive property of a few special individuals from long ago. It is the birthright of every single human being. It is the deep, luminous potential that lies within your own heart, right now. The entire journey of this meditation has been about gently peeling back the layers of dust and grime, the layers of fear, judgment, regret, and anxiety that have obscured this inner light. The light was never absent, it was only hidden. To trust in this capacity is the ultimate act of faith. It is to believe in your own goodness, your own wisdom, your own ability to heal. As you rest here, you can connect with this inner light. You can feel it as a quiet confidence, a gentle strength, a peaceful presence in the center of your being. It is the part of you that has been listening to this entire journey, the silent witness that has been here all along. That awareness is the lamp. Trust it, and know this. When you become your own light, you do not shine for yourself alone. In the great interconnected web of life, your light is a gift to all. Your peace does not end at the boundary of your skin. It radiates outwards. Your calm presence can soothe the agitated heart of another. Your kind word can be a refuge for someone in pain. Your compassionate actions can inspire others to find the light within themselves. By taking responsibility for your own inner peace, you become a force for healing in the world, more powerful than you can ever imagine. You become a beacon of hope and sanity in your family, your community, and in the world. Your peace is the greatest gift you can ever offer. So, as we bring this long, deep exploration to a close, rest in this understanding. The journey has not been about becoming someone new, but about returning to who you have always been at your deepest core, a being of awareness, of compassion, of light. You have everything you need within you. You are your own teacher, your own refuge, your own light. Trust this, rest in this, and let this quiet, confident light illuminate your path, not only as you drift into a deep and restorative sleep, but in all the days and moments of your life to come. And so, our long journey together through the inner landscapes of the mind and heart now comes to a gentle close. We began by observing the restless waters of the mind, the endless ripples of thought and worry that disturbed our peace. We learned not to fight the waves, but to find our anchor in the simple, steady tide of the breath. From there, we found the courage to let go, to release our grip on the riverbank and float freely on the great flowing river of impermanence. We have walked the path of healing, learning to embrace the fire of anger and the deep waters of sadness with a wise and tender compassion. We discovered the profound joy of an open, grateful heart and the quiet freedom that comes from leaving the prison of judgment. We have journeyed inward, past all the noise, to find the silent, spacious sanctuary at the center of our being, the source of a wisdom that is deeper than all knowledge. And in this sacred stillness, we have found our own inner light, the inextinguishable lamp of our own awareness. If there is one truth to carry with you into your dreams tonight, let it be this: peace is not a destination you must travel to. It is not a prize to be won, nor a state to be achieved through great effort. It is not dependent on a quieter world or a more perfect life. Peace is your true nature. It is the vast silent sky that holds all the passing clouds of your thoughts and feelings. It is the deep, calm ocean that lies beneath all the turbulent waves of your daily life. It is the stillness in the nest behind the roaring waterfall. Peace is the very ground of your being, always present, always available, waiting patiently for you to come home to it. As you now surrender to the gentle pull of sleep, know that you hold all the keys you need. Every breath is an invitation to return to your center. Every moment is a chance to begin again. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to figure out. Allow these words and ideas to dissolve, like sugar in water, into the vast ocean of your subconscious mind, trusting that the healing and integration will continue as you rest. You have done the beautiful work of turning towards yourself with kindness and wisdom. Now, the time has come for a deep, nourishing, and complete rest. Let go of everything. Let the current of sleep carry you now. Rest deeply. You are safe. You are whole. You are at peace.